Good day everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today is finally the video I'm going to take you guys on a full Revit tutorial course. So if you are new to Revit, or if you are just starting Revit, or you are not yet very used to the interface of Revit, this is the right video for you, so don't skip this video. So this video is going to take you through how I'm going to start designing, drafting and modeling a residential building on Revit. So I'm going to start from absolutely nothing. When I mean absolutely nothing, I mean nothing, like no sketch. I'm going to start the drafting from Revit. I'm going to share some design tips. I'm going to show you how to use walls, how to optimize time when using Revit, how to use floors, how to use. So if you have not done so, make this the video, you hit the like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, because more content, greater content will be coming up on this channel, and also hit the notification bell to get notified when I release new videos. So without wasting any more time, we're going to jump into the main content of this video. Alright, so we've currently opened Revit 2024. So we're just going to click on new to create a new file. We're going to click on this tab here and change it from Imperial Multidisciplinary to Metric Multidisciplinary, because we're using metric system in this part of the world. So I'm just going to click on OK, and our new project is going to open. Alright, so now our new project is open. Normally I will have started building from this point, but I want to make things quicker. I want to use an existing template. So what am I going to do? I'm simply going to go to files here to open a previously opened file I've used before. Alright, so now we've opened this file. We are just going to go back to this file we newly opened, this new file. Then what we are simply going to do is we are going to go to this manage tab here. Then we are going to go to this transfer project standard. Under this transfer project standard, you are going to see option to copy from, and you are going to see the name of the project. If you open multiple projects, you are going to see options to choose multiple projects, but we are just going to see this one, and we're just going to click OK, copy from, and click OK. So we're just going to wait a bit for the template to transfer successfully. Okay, so while this is going on, this notification will pop up. It will tell you that they are duplicate type, meaning that there exist families in this new project that are the same with families in the project we are copying the template from. But what we are simply going to do is we are going to click overwrite. And once this overwrite means it will overwrite the ones coming in to overwrite the ones existing here. So it will kind of unify everything. Okay, so now you have transferred the project template. We are going to start creating levels. We are going to go to one of these elevations, and we are going to start adjusting the existing levels and creating new ones. So this is level 1, L1 and L2. So we are going to change the names of this already existing one. I'm going to change this to 01 NGL. Then I'm going to go to this L2 and I'm going to change it to 02 DPC. Alright, so now I'm just going to change the value. Okay, so now I'm just going to change the value from 3600 to 600. Okay, so now I'm going to go to architecture and I'm going to click on levels to create new levels. So as you can see, a dimension will appear here to kind of guide me when creating new levels. So I want to start by creating the first lintel level. So I'm going to place this here. But as you can see, this level is different from this one because it doesn't have a level head. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm first going to click on this one to see the property of this one. So I'm going to see level head 8mm head. So I'm just going to click on this as well and change it to level head 8mm head. So now I'm just going to adjust this to place and place it along the same line with these ones. I'm trying to make sure it's aligned. Okay, so now I'm going to, let me just adjust it a little bit more. So now I'm going to rename this one, and I'm going to name this 03, and I'm going to name this lintel 1. Now I'm going to click yes. Okay, so now I'm going to just click on this level and I'm going to start copying it. So I'm just going to copy another one. I'm going to copy this one 1.2 meter above this. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to now create the first floor level. So I'm going to rename this level as 04 first floor. Okay, so now this first floor, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to use a dimension to kind of help me as a guide. So I'm going to select this dimension. These dimensions came as a result of the transfer of template, so that's why I have this numerous type of dimension. So currently this is 3.6. My target is for this headroom to be 3.45. So I'm going to change it to 3450 millimeters. So this is where I want it to be. So I'm going to, okay, this is already 04 first floor. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to copy it again to create a new level. So I'm going to copy this one at 2.4 meter away from this first floor. So I'm going to rename this level as 05 lintel 05 lintel 2. You can see, as the reason why I'm adding all these numbers to them is so when they start appearing on plan, I'll be able to see them at 1, 2, 3, 4, like sequentially according to the numbers. So of course I'm going to click on this and I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to copy it at 1050 so it will match the previous levels. So I'm going to name this 06 10th floor. Okay, so now I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to level. So I'm going to create another level and I'm going to make this 2.4 again, or rather I'm going to make, since this is a 10th floor, I'm going to make it 2.1. I'm going to change this height to 2.1. all right, so now we're going to click on this level and we're going to change it to this one so it will align. So now I'm going to name this one 07 lintel 3. So we're going to create another, we're going to copy the levels rather. So I'm going to copy this one at 900 millimeter above this level. So I'm also going to use dimension again, annotate. I'm going to use aligned to check this and check if it's colorating. So I want the headroom of this floor to be 3 meters, which it is now. So now I'm going to name this as 08 ceiling level. It's always good to use a lot of levels in your Revit project, because levels, the more your levels are, the better they guide you while modeling. So everything will be uniformed. So we're going to copy this one more time and create, not one more time, we're going to copy I think 2 more levels. We're going to copy one at 600 millimeter above this current level, and I'm going to name this 09. I'm going to name this roof level. So now I'm just going to click on this level. I'm going to click on this zigzag icon in between to just displace it. I'm going to zoom in and click on it. So now I've clicked on it, it will displace the level annotation. So I could just click on this circle here, zoom in, click on this circle and adjust it. So I'll be able to adjust it appropriately so it will not be interfering. So now I'm going to create one more level, and this level is going to be the parapet wall level. So I'm going to use go to annotate, go to aligned, and I'm going to use dimension as a guide for this level again. So I'm going to click on this level and I'm going to change it to 1.2, or let me make it 1.5 since it's a parapet wall. Okay, so I'm just going to click on change this to 008. So as you can see all the levels, how they came out. They are looking good, and all the levels are set in place to guide us while modeling in this project. So now we've done with levels, we are going to click on save, and we're going to override this and save this. All right, so I'm just going to do a few more things. I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on hide in view by element. So I'm going to also go to this tab here and I'm going to hide crop region, so I'll only be seeing the levels. I don't even need this section, so I'm just going to delete it for now. So now we're going to go back to this project browser here and we're going to look for the plans we've created. So currently we are not seeing, I think we are not seeing the floor plans. We are just seeing lintel 1 and lintel 3. So I think what we are going to do is we're going to go to view here, this view tab. We're going to go to plan views. We're going to go to floor plan. Then I'm going to hold control and select all these floor plans and just click OK. So now all the floor plans will be visible here and we could see all the plans. So I'm going to go to lintel 1. I still can't see all the floor plans. I still can't see the ground floor. I still can't see the other floor. All right, so what was causing this issue is that this L1 and L2 are the levels, you know, we renamed them originally, so we're just going to make sure the names on the plans are corresponding with this name on this level, because when we renamed it on this level it didn't reflect on all the plans. So I'm going to go to this L1 architecture and I'm going to simply right click on it and then I'm going to say rename. I'm going to name it 01 NGO. Then I'm going to do the same for this L2 architectural. Rename it, right click and rename it 02 DPC. So I'm just going to rename it. Okay, so now all our levels are set in place. I'm going to go to this NGL and I'm going to start drafting from here. So these two planes, I'm just going to select both of them and I'm going to click hide in view by category. Then I'm going to select this scope box. I'm going to select, right click, hide in view by element. Then I'm going to select this region, this crop region. I'm just going to click on hide crop region and check on this. So I can just select this north direction and hide in view by element. Okay, so now I'll still hide this elevation tags, but for now I'm going to be using them as a guide to centralize my project. So firstly, I'm going to go to annotate. I'm going to go to detail line and I'm going to start making draft of the plan I want to make. So I'm going to start by drafting, just making rough draft. So let me start from drafting the living room, drafting out the foyer, drafting out the entrance, drafting out the dining, also drafting out the kitchen. Then I'm also going to draft out the laundry. The terrace will be here and I'm going to draft out some bedrooms. I'm also going to draft out I'm going to draft out the staircase. Let me just draft it at this point. I'm going to draft it here. Or let me just extend it here. So alright, so as you can see, this is just a rough draft of what I have in mind. So I'm going to go to this architecture tab. I'm going to go to walls. So I'm going to start drafting out the walls of this sketch I've just made. So I'm going to select the wall I want to use. Usually you can create walls, or I'm just going to show you an example of how to duplicate and create your own type of wall. So I'm just, for instance, I want to click on this, my wall 225. If I want to duplicate this wall and create another unique type of wall, I'm going to click on edit in place. I'm going to click on duplicate. Under duplicate, I'm not going to give it the name I want to give it. Let me just name it 01 main wall. Okay, so now I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click this edit structure. So under this edit structure, I have the opportunity to change the thickness of this wall. I can decide to change the material. Let me change this wall material. So I can change it to this material. I can still change it, but I will still want to retain this material that is currently assigned to it. So I'm going to click OK and I'm going to click OK here. So now I'm just going to click OK. So now, as you can see, we are using this main wall file now category, this main wall type. The things you should consider in wall is the base constraint and the top constraint. The top constraint is where the wall will end and the base constraint is when the wall will start from. So I'm just going to, currently this our top constraint is at unconnected. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to select first floor. So now it's at first floor. It means the wall will start from this NGL and it will end at this first floor. So I'm going to just start drawing using the walls to follow these lines I drafted out on the first floor. So I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to also do the same here. Okay, so we have an idea of what the draft will be like. Okay, I'm just going to draw a little something here. So I have an idea of how this draft will look like. So this is a basic idea. So now we are going to start using dimensions to guide us. So I'm just going to click on annotate. I'm going to click on aligned. I'm going to select the dimension I want to use. So I'm going to go to this tab over here and make sure the dimension is set at wall faces. And then I'm going to start dimensioning in to in of all these spaces to start giving them sizes. So I'm going to do for this. I'm going to do for this. I'm going to do for this as well. I'm also going to do for this and do for this. So now I'm going to do for all the spaces here. Alright, so now we have made these basic dimensions. We are going to start adjusting these dimensions and start reducing this space for it to be as compact as possible. So I'm also going to put one extra dimension here. So this 1 meter, I want to reduce the gap from these two elements. I'm going to reduce it to 600. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the width of this living area. I'm going to reduce it to 4.5 because we are trying to make this design as compact as possible. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to try and align this wall to this wall here. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to drag it to align. So now this foyer is looking too big and this space. So I'm just going to click on this wall here and I'm going to reduce the dimension to 3 meters. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight these two walls and I'm just going to click move and I'm going to try and move these two walls to the center point. Align it. It will say element to be deleted because of some error. I'll just click OK and move it regardless. So now our building is getting, in terms of the width, we are compacting it. So I'm also going to select this wall here and I'm going to reduce this to let's use 4.2. And I'm going to also drag this wall to suit as well. Okay, so this wall now is extending too much. So I'm going to drag this wall and I'm going to drag it back. And I'm going to make this, let's say 5 points. Let me just make the offset between here and here to be about 600. Oh, let's make it 900. All right. So now our building is getting compact, but we're not where we want it to be yet. We're going to start compacting it vertically, that is along this axis here. So I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to start pushing it in from here. I'm going to make this 1.5. I'm going to select this and I'm going to add another dimension here. I'm going to make this 1 meter. And I'm just going to drag this to align here as well. So this is going to be 3.8 meter. I'm going to check the distance between this place and here. So this is actually small, so I'm just going to be making this 1 meter too. I'm going to be making this 1.5 and I'm going to be making this 1 meter as well. Just going to make sure the dimension is aligned here. Then I'm going to be making it 1 meter. So now I'm just going to align this wall here and I'm going to continue the compacting. So I'm going to reduce the size of this. Let's make this 2.4 since it's a stairway. And we're going to reduce this as well. So we'll reduce the lobby. And I think making this dining 3.3 will be suitable. Okay, not 3.3. Let's make it bigger. Let's make it 3.9 or 3.6. Okay, I think 3.6 will just suit. So now I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make this foyer 2.4. And okay, 2.4 may be too small. Let me make it 3 meters. And I'm just going to push this, drag this back and drag this and make this, and I'm going to make this 5.1. Okay, so I'm going to do this for this too. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to make this 6.6 meters. Now you see how much smaller this. So now we no longer need these lines we used for drafting. So I'm just going to select everything here, highlight everything. I'm going to go to this filter tab here. If you don't know how I did it, I went to this filter tab over here. Then I'm just going to uncheck the walls, uncheck the dimension, leave only the lines. So it will be only the lines left, and I'm going to click delete. So the lines are no more in our way to obstruct us. So I'm going to highlight these 2 column walls, and I'm going to move the 2 column walls to this position here. So now I'm still going to push them further. I'm going to push them by, let's say, 900. So we'll still have a decently elegant entrance. Okay, so now I think I could even check the overall length of the plan and overall width. So far it's looking decently compact, although it's not the most compact of designs, but it's good all the same. So now we are going to be making more intricate details. We are going to be doing more planning on the spaces, especially considering the conveniences. So I'm just going to go to architecture, and I'm going to go to wall. So under this wall, I'm going to select the wall. I'm looking for 150mm thick wall. So I'm not looking for normal 9 inches walls. So I'm just looking for 6 inches block walls. So I'm going to use 150, and I'm going to just start trying to create conveniences for these bedrooms here. So I'm going to create one here. I'm also going to create one here for this bedroom. So now there's an issue here. This particular foyer doesn't really have a guest convenience. So I'm going to try and find a way to squeeze in a guest convenience over here that will be appropriate for this design. So I'm just going to try and just create something here and bring it out and try and see if I could flush it somewhere here. So now the thing has really thwarted this space here. Let me hit Ctrl Z and think of another option. Okay, let's say we push this here. I just click on this and I extend this foyer to this point. Ctrl Z, and I extend this foyer to this point and fill it up here. Then I'm going to extend this place to here. I'm going to click on this bevel to separate this wall, and I'm just going to drag it here. So now I'm going to extend this wall this way to create a convenience for this room here as well. Then I'm just going to click on this wall and copy this. So locating the 2 convenience in proximity so piping can be easily done. So now I'm just going to try and see if I can still adjust this bedroom here and make this space a bit bigger. So I'm going to change this to 5.4. And I'm going to go to annotate to dimension this convenience, and I'm going to see the dimension it gave me. Alright, so now you can see that this convenience is sizable, but I'm still checking the dimension of the leftover space. So I'm going to start doing more details. I'm going to copy another wall here. Under this wall, I'm just going to drag it here to create a trap lobby. I'm going to change the constraint of this dimension, or the reference point of this dimension, and I'm going to change it to 1.8. Alright, so we're going to continue. Okay, so we're going to click on dimension again. We're going to check the dimension of this wall to this wall and just see what it gives us. So I'm going to try and make this 600. Then I'm also going to try and adjust this wall too and make this, let's say, 450. And I'm going to do the same for here as well. I'm going to go to aligned and I'm going to dimension here for reference. So I'm going to change this to 450 and no 450. All right, All right, so now we're going to start going to the next floor because I think we've done justice to this floor. Okay, look at this other bedroom region here. We are going to check this other dimension too, and we're going to verify some of the remaining dimensions. We're just going to try to align this to this. We're going to go over here. We're going to click on aligned as well, and we're going to check out this dimension and check out the remaining dimension of this place here. So even at 3 meters, this place is still giving me concerns. So I'm just going to highlight this again, and I'm going to move it by 600. I'm going to click OK. Even though elements are deleted, I'm going to align this to this wall. I'm going to align this to this. I'm going to move this living room, extend it by 600 as well. Going to delete this. I'm just going to align this to this. Regardless, I'm also going to click this and extend this to, let's say, 4.8, this foyer. So I extended everything by 600 millimeters, so it will be more balanced. So I'm going to check out this region too at the back. This place is actually very tight, so I'm just going to adjust this bedroom as well. Then I'm going to extend this and extend this and extend this, and this 2450. I'm going to select this and change it to 3600. So I think in terms of the balance of the space, I think we've resolved almost everything, if not everything. I'm just going to change it to 1.5 because this is just a trap lobby. So now I'm going to go to the first floor. So in this first floor, we are not seeing anything, and that is a problem. It's not really like a problem, but we are supposed to see something to be able to draft properly. So what we are simply going to do is we are going to go to this underlay. Under this underlay, we are going to go to this tab where they wrote range base level. So we are going to click, instead of none, we are going to click DPC. What this does is going to show us the walls that are already on the DPC. So we are going to start drafting out our first floor. And from this plan, we could still go back to our 3D. That is this default 3D view to see what we've created on our Revit file. So currently you see this living room space. I want to make it double volume. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this. I'm going to select this wall again, select this wall. I don't need to select this one as it is. Then I'm just going to go to this top constraint and I'm going to change it to pent floor. So I want it to go as high as the pent floor. And I'm going to go to ground floor again. Then I'm going to go to modify. I'm going to go to this split element. I'm going to split this at this point. Then I'm going to click on this and I'm going to change it from first floor to pent floor. So now I'm going to go back to 3D view and I'm going to see how it's looking. So I'm going to go to the first floor now. Now I've seen at least this the double volume. I'm going to start drafting other spaces. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall. So I'm going to set the constraint at ground floor, base is first floor. The top constraint will now be pent floor. So I'm going to start drafting. So I will select the wall. I didn't select the wall I want. So I'm going to select the wall with duplicated 01 main wall. So I'm going to start drawing the walls and drafting out the walls. So in this first floor, I basically want to create bedrooms and the family lounge. So I intended on making this space here, the family lounge, that is this one here. Then I'm going to go to walls again, and I'm going to start drafting other spaces. So this will be the convenience of the other bedrooms, above. So we're just going to fill in up this place. So this is the staircase region. So of course the walls are going to just continue in that fashion. So this place is going to be a whole bedroom. This whole space is going to be a bedroom on its own. All right, so we are just going to run a wall over here, run it to this point and run it. There's something I want to do like when I'm drafting out my Revit project, I don't like when the lines are thick. So I used to just use TL on my keyboard to turn off the thick lines, so everything will just appear thin. So I'll be seeing all the details precisely. So I'm just going to run this wall to this point because I want this whole place to be a bedroom. I'm going to run this wall here because this is going to be a convenience, and I'm going to run this wall here. Or I'm going to just shift this wall a bit and shift this wall to this point. Okay, so I'm going to go to annotate. I'm going to align from here and here. I'm going to make sure this is up to 900. Okay, spaces are here. I'm going to start creating the conveniences, that is making the layout more intricate. So I'm going to go to architecture walls, and I'm going to start. Revit always remind you to save after 30 minutes, so be mindful of that so you will not lose progress after you have modeled very well. Okay, so we are going to select the 150mm or 6 inches thick wall. Then I'm just going to start drafting the wall. I'm just going to draft this here and draft this to this point. Then I'm also going to follow the footprint of this existing wall, and I'm going to just drag this wall and align it to this point. So this will be a bedroom, and this will be. So now I want to create a cantilevered balcony. It's always good to note that while creating balconies, you're going to see the utility of those levels I created originally. So I'm just going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to wall, and I'm going to select this basic 225 wall. So this wall now, the way I'm going to set the constraint, I'm going to go to this wall constraint. I'm going to set the base offset to be -450. The reason why I'm setting it at -450 is because I want to make provisions for the beam. So I'm going to set to this pant floor, and I'm going to click on this top offset to be let's use 300. So now I'm going to click on wall here, and I'm going to just draw this wall up to this point. At this point 900, and I'm going to draw this. So now I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to go to align. I'm going to just check out the dimensions of this. As these dimensions, I'm going to reduce it to 600. I'm also going to go to align and check the dimension from this space to this space, and I'm going to make it at let's say 750. Okay, so now I'm just going to select these two walls. Instead of the top offset to be 300, I'm going to set the top offset to be 150. All right, so now this is our display. I'm just going to run another wall, architecture wall. So instead of setting this to top level at the pent floor, I'm going to change this to lintel 2. That is over this first floor. So now it's on lintel 2. Instead of 300, I'm now going to use -2250. So what this does is, if I just go to and draw this wall here, and I draw it to this point, if I go to the 3D view now, you will see that this has created a balcony dwarf wall that is just 150mm above the slab. So it will actually make provisions for a dwarf wall to buffer people on the slab, as well as it will still create provisions for the depth of beam. We could go over here and change it from hidden lines to shaded, so we can see what we're doing. We could also start applying different wall colors. So predominantly I don't like using painting while I'm modeling, so I'm just going to select this wall here, select this wall here, select this as well, select this as well, and I'm going to change it from basic white walls, and I'm going to shade it to a darker shade of walls, so there will be contrast. Or I may still change it in future, but let's just continue working for now. So I'm going to go to this first floor, and I'm going to go to walls, and I'm going to remove this -450 because of I want to draw walls on this existing wall. If I leave that -450, to create a conflict between that wall and this new wall. So we can see how it has filled up here. So as you can see, I don't like the way, because when I'm modeling or when I'm designing, I don't like when things are not flowing or things are cutting off, like this junction here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this first floor again. I'm going to go to architecture wall. I'm still going to leave it at this parameter I set before, but instead I'm going to change it to a 75mm thick wall, so it can serve as an elevation facade designing element. So I'm just going to do this to minus 450. Then I'm going to click on, instead of wall center line, I'm going to change to finish face exterior. Then I'm just going to drag this and drag this to this point. So now I'm going to drag this wall back. The reason I'm dragging this back is because this is a convenience, so I don't want the convenience to part of this balcony. So I'm just going to copy this and place this here. Of course it will clash because these two walls are overlapping, so I'm just going to drag this one back to this point where it's supposed to be. Then I'm going to drag this wall to this point and drag this here. So now it's at this position. Now we could now see what we could do from here. So I'm going to go back to the 3D view and see what we've done. So I'm going to click on this and make sure it's a dark wall. So I'm going to look for a 75. Okay, this is it. So as you can see how the thing is flowing, but we are still making progress. So now we've created this balcony. I'm going to try and create some other small mini balconies for these respective bedrooms. So for this one now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this wall. I'm going to copy it and drag it and align it to this other wall. Okay, of course, I remember we are going to create a convenience here. We are just going to balance it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on mirror, select the center of this lobby and just select this here. All right, so now I'm just going to drag this here and I'm going to click on this wall and I'm going to drag it to this point. So now I'm just going to go to wall again. I'm going to go to the normal wall we used to use, that is the 225. I'm going to remove all this offset to 0 and I'm going to set this back at pen floor. So I'm just simply going to draw this wall. I'm going to change this as well, this finish face exterior to wall center line, and I'm going to draw this from here and drag it to this point. So as you can see now, we are trying to create a balcony here. So also, because of this balcony, I'm just going to click on this wall and I'm going to push it. So currently the space we have here is 375. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this wall by, let's say 450, or let's say 525. Then I'm going to drag this and align it here, drag this and align this here. I'm also going to go to walls and I'm just going to click on wall again. So instead, I'm just going to click on this wall and change it to minus 450. And I'm going to change it, the top constraint, to lintel level 2, and I'm going to set it as minus 2250 because of the height of the lintel. As you can see how I'm imputing all these digits, the reason is set my levels very well so I can manipulate them according to the height of my levels. So I'm also going to do the same for this wall over here. I'm going to remove this minus 450 because of I don't want it to clash with this. Then I'm going to put back the minus 450 to join the balcony here. And I'm also going to do something for these two walls. I'm going to select these two walls. Instead of going to change it to minus 1500. So as you can see, we've created another balcony here. So now we are going to create the third balcony. So for this third balcony, we are just going to do the same thing or something similar we did for this wall here. So what we could simply do is we could just click on this, click on this, click on this, click on this, and mirror it. Of course, it will be clashing, so we're just going to adjust them now. We've mirrored it. All right, so I'm just going to try and modify this. I'm going to drag this back and I'm going to try and push this and make the dimension of these two rooms correlate. So I'm going to check this. We're going to also check this. I'm going to make this 3.9. So it's off the grid of this, which is fine. Then I'm going to join this at this point Then I'm also going to drag this wall to this place, and I'm going to drag this wall here to kind of balance it up. So now it's kind of offsetting a bit from this staircase wall, so I'm just going to align it so it will be the only difference here. So we're going to go back to 3D view and we're going to see what we've done. So as you can see, the only issue we have now is this particular wall needs to, I need to cut and separate this wall at this junction here, and I need to bring this down. So I'm also going to do the same for this wall too as well. So I'm going to click on this wall. I'm going to click on -450 just to make it consistent with the other elements. So I'm going to click on this top view because I'm just going to click on this separate to split this element. Then after I split it, I'm just going to try and see if I could remove the alignment. So I think I missed the position of that one. So I'm just going to click on this, go over here, click on this and change it to -450. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for this other wall here. I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to click on this split element. I'm going to click on split here. Then I'm going to change this to -450 as well. Then after changing it to -450, I'm going to adjust the same for here. So I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to adjust this. So now I think we've made very significant progress. So now I think we could go back to this first floor and we could do some more wall addition before going to the pont floor. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to walls again. I'm going to go to this 150 wall. I'm going to reset this offset to back to 0 again. I'm going to go to pent floor. So I'm going to divide this to create a closet for this room. And I'm going to use my dimensions to check whether it is appropriate. So I'm just going to go here and dimension this and make sure it's about 2.1 meter. Okay, so now I could just click on modify. I could click on split element. I could just split this. I could select this wall, drag it here, select this wall again and drag it here. Then I could start using line works to indicate where my wardrobes will be. So I'll click on line, thin lines. I'm going to draw a 600mm depth deep wardrobe and I'm going to draw this. So I'm just going to draw the line to indicate it's a wardrobe. I'm going to also draw this here, 600mm. Draw this here and I'm going to indicate this as well. I'm also going to draw this at 1.8 at 600mm and I'm just going to draw this here. So now I'm just going to align this with this place here. So I think we've pretty much done all the basics for this floor. So now we are going to go to the pent floor. In the same fashion, for this pent floor, we are going to hide this. We don't need it. Hide in view by element. We're going to also hide this scope box. We don't need it. We are also going to click Ctrl S to save our project. Then we are going to, alright, so in the same fashion, I'm going to go to this underlay and I'm going to check, make sure that the first floor is in display. Alright, so now we are going to start designing the pent floor. So for the pent floor, we're going to go to walls again, architecture walls, and we're going to select, instead we're going to select 225 walls. So I'm going to set the top constraint at roof level. So at this roof level, I'm now going to start drafting out the pent floor. So I'm just going to draft out the main pent floor room. I'm going to draft out some other spaces in the pent floor. Let me draft out. I'm just going to do the same bedroom. And I'm just going to replicate almost everything, apart from the part that this other parts of the building will be roofed. So I'm just going to do this as well, and just match this in place. So I'm now going to change this to my 150 walls. and I'm going to start using them to just complete the rest. Alright, so now we are now going to complete our balcony for this paint floor. So for this paint floor, we're just going to go to architecture, we're going to go to walls, we're going to change this to 225 walls. So under this 225 wall, I want the balcony to extend up until this point. So I'm going to use the same principle, minus 450 at the base constraint. Then I'm going to change this to lintel 3 and do minus 1950, because if you remember, lintel 3 is smaller than the other lintels. So I'm just going to draw a wall all the way from here to this point to create the terrace. So as you can see, these other walls are dark and this one is white. So I actually want it to be the inverse, or let me just leave it dark for now. I'm going to select this and change it to dark wall. Then on doing that, as you can see, our building is already coming out, the main structure is already coming out. Then I'm now going to go back to this paint floor. So I'm going to create some parapet walls for this paint floor in particular. Then I'm just going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to walls, this 225 wall, I'm going to reset all these constraints except for this one. I'm going to change it to minus 1200. So I'm now going to draw these parapet walls here. So up until this point, I'm going to do the same for this point. But before doing that, if you remember, there are balconies here. So I want to also do some balcony work here just to make sure that it fits in the character. So what do I mean by that? So I'm just going to go back to this paint floor and I'm just going to draw a wall. I'm going to draw a law from the lintel beam, indicating how the beams will drop down over this balcony. So I'm going to go to walls. Instead of paint floor, I'm going to put paint floor minus 450. Then I'm just going to draw this wall here. Then I'm also going to reduce this to minus, let me use minus 1350 and draw this here. I'm going to repeat the same for this balcony here and do the same. So I'm just going to draw this and fix this here. So now we are going to go back to this 3D view. As you can see, the building is already coming out. So I just want to adjust something. I have a problem here. This is not coming out the way I want it. So I'm just going to move this wall front and move this wall by the side. So if you look at it, it will just come out with the way I intend on it coming out as I planned. So another thing I'll do is I have a problem here. I don't want this parapet wall to extend up until this point. So I'll have to adjust this. So I'm just going to change this back to minus 450. And I'm going to remove this and put it at 0. And I'm going to change this to paint floor. I'm also going to do the same for this. Change this to minus 450. And I'm going to change this to 0. And I'm going to change this to paint floor. I might actually make some alterations here, but that will be for in future. So now I want to start working on the facade character and the structure. As you can see, I've not even started placing the windows or floors. I just want to get the structural outline first before I go into all those things. That is the way I preferably model. So I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to, let's say, let me start from this 3D view. I'm going to be working with this 3D view. So I want to create a overhang for this balcony here. I'm going to show you a technique to use if you want to seclude so you will not get confused. I'm just going to click on this section box tab over here and I'm going to check it. For this section box, I'm going to click on it and I'm just going to drag this bottom part to this point so it will crop it up until this point. So now the only thing I'm seeing are these walls here, these balconies here and this. So now we've created this section box. Now we can just go to this section box. We could just hide it in view by element. We could also hide this scope box, as well. Okay, so now we are free with our view and we have more visual advantage over it. So I'm just going to go to walls architecture, I'm going to go to walls. These 2 to 5 walls, I'm going to remove this base constraint to 0, top constraint to 0. So I'm going to send the constraint from roof level at the top as the top constraint to ceiling level as the base constraint. So I'm just going to firstly draw a wall from here, and I'm going to end the wall around here. Okay, so now we are just going to look. So as you can see that this wall continued up until this point and stopped here. So now we are going to go back to this section box and we're going to turn off this section box. The reason I turned it off is so we are going to do some facade design character from this ground floor. So we're just going to go to this natural ground level, and we're going to click on go to this underlay, and we're going to click on underlay and check it out. Let's use ceiling level. So from this ceiling level, we can see that wall joining here. So we want to draw a wall from this ground floor, natural ground level, that will reach to this point. But we are going to do the wall from DPC instead. So we're going to go to walls. We're going to go, instead of the top constraint will be, instead of DPC will be roof level. So I'm just going to draw a wall here. Why is it telling me I can't make walls? So I'm going to go to wall again, and I'm going to draw a wall from here. Let me go to DPC, and I'm going to set the same constraint to roof level, and I'm going to try and draw it again. So I'm going to set this wall as to roof level, and I'm going to draw this wall first. I'm going to draw this wall first. So now these two walls, I'm going to select both of them. I'm going to click on this base offset as -150. Then I'm going to click on this and drag it back. So now I'm going to still click on another wall and try and mimic the constraints of the walls I just edited, and I'm just going to drag it to fill up this place. So now I'm going to do something. I'm going to kind of form a flower pot here that continues up until this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the constraint to, let's say, lintel level 1, and I'm going to put it as -2250. So I'll just draw this wall running up until this point, or rather I'm just going to drag this wall here. I'm going to push it to this point. I'm just going to now click on select, and I'm now going to push it up onto this point, then join it here. So everything. So if you go back to the 3D now, we'll now be seeing a bit more character to this facade, and you're going to see how the thing is building up and forming up in character. So now we are going to draw the parapet walls, then we'll now create the roof. So we'll know that we've solved the issue of roofing at this early stage. Because of this extension here, I want to kind of simplify the roofing issue. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to extend this and drag out this wall from here and extend it to this line here, to this grid. Then I'm going to join it here. I'm not working with grids in this project, obviously, but if you notice, I'm working as much as possible to make sure that all my walls are aligned to another wall, so everything will be very stable. So now I'm going to draw the parapet walls of the pent floor now to conclude the roofing. So I'm just going to, this is when the section box will now come in, because I only want to see from this level upwards. So I'm just going to check this section box again, and I'm going to go to this reveal hidden elements, because if you remember I hid the section box. Then I'm going to select the section box, and I'm going to just adjust it up to this point. Then I'm going to click on reveal the normal element. So now this is our pent floor, so I want to draw the roof from here. So I'm just going to click to top view, and I'm going to just continue the roof from this point like this up to this point. So I'm going to go to walls. Then I'm going to go to I'm going to set the constraints. So I'm going to remove the base offset, I'm going to remove the top offset, I'm going to set the top constraint to parapet level, I'm going to change the base constraint to roof level. So now I'm going to start drawing. So I'm just going to leave the part I want to leave as slab and start drawing the roof, the parapet walls. So I'm going to draw this. Since this is a 150 wall, I'm going to change it to 150 and just draw this to maintain consistency. Then I'm going to change this back again to 225 again and just continue drawing. Or I'm just going to draw this wall to simplify the roof. I'm going to extend this wall to here, and I'm also going to draw this wall to this point and draw this wall here. Then I'm going to end the parapet wall here. So as you can see now, these are the parapet walls. I'm just going to extend this to here, so we can now see what we've created on the parapet wall. Currently, if you look at this thing now, we'll have to off this section box to see our whole project. So as you can see, these are the parapet walls, but I want to create some variations within this parapet wall, and I want this center parapet wall to be higher than the others. So what I'm going to do is I could either reduce the other ones or simply increase the center one. Because of the parapet wall is already high, I'm going to reduce the other ones. I'm going to just click on all of them, and I'm going to add to their top constraint -300. So all of them will be smaller, so there will be variation. Or the variation isn't too much, I could just select them again, select them and make it -450. So yeah, now there's variation. Change this also -450. So as you can see, there's already variation here. So now we've drawn the parapet walls, we are going to start creating the roof. So for the roof, what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to turn on this section box again. So I'm going to start from this penthouse, this pent floor roof to this main final roof. So I'm going to just go to this front view. I'm going to turn on section box. I'm going to go to reveal elements because I hit the section box, and I'm going to adjust it to this height. Then I'm going to click on reveal all elements again. So now as you can see the roof now. You can see the project more clearly. We're now going to draw the roof. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to roof. Under this roof, because I'm in the 3D view, they will ask me to select the level. So I'm going to start from pent floor. So I'm going to select pent floor, and I'm going to click yes. So now under this pent floor, I could just simply go to pent floor plan. So in this pent floor plan, I know where the roof cuts through. Then I'm just going to select the roof I want to use. So usually I've already created the type of roof I usually use for flat hidden roofs, so I could just use it. If you want to know the details, you could just click on edit in place and click on edit structure. So as you can see, I already created a structure here, 2 structures, or because for the sake of learning and for the sake of tutorship, I'm going to use a basic Revit roof, and I'm going to convert it to a good roof for parapet. So I'm going to select one of these default basic generic roof. I'm going to click on edit in place. I'm going to click on duplicate, and I'm going to name this 01 roof new. So I'm going to click OK. So I'm just going to click on edit in place to edit the structure, and I'm going to change the material first. And I'm going to change it to, I'm going to look for a material I called roof white. Or let me show you how to duplicate materials. So let's say we just select any random material here. We're going to right click, duplicate view. So under this duplicate, after I've duplicated it, I'll now rename it. Let me name it 01 roof white new. So now we're just going to click on this tab over here to assign a material to you. So I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to go to wall paint. I'm going to go look for a white wall material here, and I'm just going to select it. So I'm going to go to graphics, and I'm going to click on use render appearance. Then I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click OK. So now we're now going to change the thickness of this structure to 150. So now to add the roofing sheet, we're just going to click on insert. This insert will add another structural layer. So I'm going to change the thickness to 10. That is the roofing sheet. So I'm just going to select the material here, and I'm going to align it. Let me look for roofing sheet. Roof sheet. Okay, I don't think we have a material like this. Okay, I already have a roofing sheet material, roof sheet. So I'm going to click OK. So as you can see, we have created 2 layers, and we're just going to click OK. And I'm going to click OK. So now you can see the roof new we just created, and you know how to do it now. So we're just going to draft out the line for this roof. We are going to follow the parapet walls we created, so you should be mindful of that. So we're just going to close this loop. So if you notice, all these lines have triangles. What this triangle means is that these lines have slopes, because once you are creating roofs, you are dealing with slopes. So for this parapet roof, I'm just going to select all this line, and I'm going to uncheck this define slopes icon here and make sure it's unchecked. Then I'm going to click on this and make sure the angle of inclination is 5 degrees. So I'm going to click finish. So we are going to go to 3D view and we're going to see. So as you can see, this is it on 3D view. You can see it at 5 degrees. But unfortunately, the thing is even coming out of this parapet wall. So we could simply increase the height of the parapet wall by selecting all the parapet walls and changing it to -900. So as you can see, it's now appropriate. So we're just going to do the same for this roof. But one thing in mind, I just remembered that if you click on this roof, I didn't give an offset for the eave, for the roof eave. So I'm going to click on edit in place. I'm going to use this offset tool and I'm going to put 600 millimeters. Then I'm just going to uncheck this copy and offset it. Then click finish. So as you can see, the parapet wall have offsetted. So we're going to do the same for this roof here, and we're going to roof this place too. So we're going to click on this roof. We're going to click copy, duplicate instead of creating a new one, or we could create a new one regardless. I'll delete this. I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to click on roof. Where is that roof? Click on roof, set the level again. This time I'm going to set it on roof level. I'm going to click yes. Then I'm now going to start drawing our roof. So as usual, I'm going to follow the parapet walls and follow the parapet walls. So as you can see, with the same thing we did for the last roof, we're just going to do it. We're going to uncheck these whole slopes. We're going to uncheck this and make it unchecked. So we're going to click on this slope and make it 5 degrees. So of course we're going to use offsets to get our overhangs and offset this. So we're just going to click finish. So as you can see now, we can see the roof. As you can see, there are some gaps between this roof and this wall. So we're just going to click on this wall. We're going to click on attach to top, attach base to top, and we're going to click on this so it will attach to this roof. We're going to also do this for this, attach top slash base, and do this for here. We're going to do this for this as well. Attach, select the roof, and our building, our roof has been created. So now we're going to start entering the floors and the slabs. So we're going to go back to this view and we're going to uncheck this section box so we can see our whole project. So as you can see, we have created the skeletal framework of the project, so we could start working more on the windows, the floors, and other aspects of this project. As you can see, that same issue with the parapet wall just popped up again. So what we could just simply do with the roof coming out on the parapet being higher than the parapet, so what we could just simply do is to click on this parapet level and increase the height, change it to 1.8 meters. And everything just fixes and you can see the structure. So we're going to click save. Okay, so now we are going to start working on the floors, then we are going to enter the fenestrations. So for the floors, we're going to start from the DPC and we're going to start creating our DPC. So we're going to go to floors, we're going to go under architecture, we're going to go to floors, then we're going to select our floor. We're going to start by selecting our floor, DPC slab 600. So to create a floor, I'm just going to show you that we're going to click on edit in place. We're going to click on duplicate. Then we're going to rename it where we want to rename it. Let me just name it floor 450. And I'm going to click OK. Okay, there's already a name, a floor called floor 450. So let's just duplicate again and create 601. Okay, so we're going to click on edit this structure. As you can see, in the same fashion, we could edit the thickness of the structure, we could edit the slab material. So that is just to show you how to edit and duplicate a floor slab. So we're just going to select back this 600. As you can see, I already have some floors already created in my template. So that is already done. That is done. So we're just going to use this floor and we're going to draw the footprint. Okay, the reason why I'm using a floor that is thicker 600 is because I want to use it in while creating the terrace slabs. So what do I mean by terrace slab? I'm going to use it anywhere there is like an opening, a terrace or balcony. I'm going to be using the floors of that thickness. I'm just going to be drawing it within the interiors of the walls. So I'm going to be doing the same here. I'm just going to use this box to draw a slab profile. Then I'm going to click finish. So now I'm going to go to floor again, and I'm going to go to normal slab 150. Then I'm now going to draw the normal DPC slab within the interiors. So I'm just going to draw it and make sure it goes all the way. I'm going to draw this here. It's always good to know that after you're finished doing all your wall work, you should always turn off your underlay. So we are going to do that once we finish drawing this profile. So now we're finished drawing the profile. We're just going to adjust it, and we're going to click finish. So we are going to go, as I said, I'm going to go under this underlay and change it to none, so there will be no underlay. So I'll just be seeing it. So I'm just going to click on tab to be able to select this floor. Then I'm going to click on edit boundary. I'm going to make sure that the boundary encompasses this flower pot here, base for flower pots and greenery. So I'm going to click finish. So as you can see, we're going to go back to this view. We can see that we have made some progress here. So now we are just still going to make some more floor works here. So we're going to go back to DPC. I want to create the entrance steps. Typically I could use normal staircase in Revit, but I usually use floors because it's just easier for me and more versatile. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to floor. I'm going to start using slab 450 because as I make more steps, I'm going to reduce the thickness of the slab, so it will just be easy to use model. So I'm just going to change this step to 300. I could just select the whole profile and copy it to this point and just adjust it to fit. So now I've adjusted this, I'm simply going to go to this tab here, and I'm going to click on this, go to this height offset from level, and I'm going to change it to -150, and I'm going to click finish. So now I've done this, I'm also going to copy this. I'm just going to copy this floor off. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to edit the profile. So I'm just going to select this profile, and I'm just going to move it and place it after this one to create another step profile. I'm going to do the same here and just move it to this point here. So now I've moved it, I'm going to change this to -300. Then I'm going to change this floor slab to 300mm thick slab, so it will just be adjust. So as you can see, we've created this next step. So now I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to place this here. So I'm just going to select this, I'm going to click on edit in place, then I'm just going to move this and move this to this point, and I'm also going to select this and move this, and I'm going to name this, go to this parameter and change it to -450. Then I'm going to change it to slab 150 and click on finish. So if you go to 3D view, you'll see how good this entrance staircase came up. So we're also going to look at this one at the terrace and look at how it came up. So we're going to go to the first floor now. On this first floor, of course, we are just going to adjust this underlay and change it to none. Alright, so we are going to go to floor again, and we're going to draw our overhead cast slab here. So we are just going to select slab 150. We are going to remove this height offset, and we're going to click on it and change it to 0. Then we're just going to draw our first floor slab. So you know there is an issue here. The issue is that we have not created our staircase and we are drawing the slab, so it can't be accurate till we get the extent of the staircase. So we're just going to make a hypothetical decision for now, and we're going to go to the ground floor and immediately start drawing the staircase. So this option, once you create a suspended slab, this option will come out whether you want all the walls below it to attach to its bottom, but I don't want it to attach, so I'm going to click don't attach. So I'm going to go back to the DPC and I'm going to start creating the stairway. So firstly, I'm just going to adjust this wall here because I don't want a door to be on this wall. I don't want a wall to be blocking this stairway. So I'm going to go to architecture and I'm going to go to stairs. So under the stairs, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the type of stairway to monolithic stairs. So after I've changed it to monolithic stairs, I'm going to change the constraints. So the base level is DPC and the top level is currently lintel 1. So I'm going to change it to first floor. Instead of clicking on run, I'm just going to click create sketch. Then on this create sketch, I'm going to start drawing the profile of my stairway. So I'm going to start from the boundary lines. The boundary lines are like the guidelines. So I'm going to make the thing to extend to 4.2. I'm going to draw it at this perimeter and extend it to this point. So now I'm going to click on offset and I'm going to offset it at 1050 millimeters. And I'm going to click on copy. So the offset will copy the boundary lines. Or I'm going to make it 1150 millimeters. Then I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to copy it here. I'm going to copy it here. Then I'm going to use this tool to trim it. This trim tool, I'm going to select it. So I'm going to select these two lines, trim it, select these two lines, trim it. So now I've created the boundaries, I'm going to create the risers. So for the riser, I'm going to click on riser and I'm going to click on one line. So I'm just going to draw one riser here first. So as you are creating a staircase, you're going to see how many risers are needed and how many risers are remaining. So I've created only one riser, so I have to create 23 more. So I'm just going to use the offset tool to offset it by 300 millimeters each. So I'm just going to be copy this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So as you can see, we have 13 risers, 11 risers created. So that means I'll need to create one more here. And I'm just going to use this trim tool to trim these boundary lines to it and trim this. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to select all these risers and I'm going to click mirror. So I'm going to select the center of this line and I'm just going to mirror it. So now I've created 24 risers. I don't need 24. I'm just going to delete this one extra riser. So now I've created the boundary lines and the risers. So finally, I'm going to click on the stair part here. So I'll click on this stair part. I'm going to draw the line from the center. This shows where the stair how the stair will flow. So I'm going to draw another line here. I'm also going to draw another line here. So now I'm just going to click finish. So as you can see, the staircase flight started from here and it's going this way, but I want to change it to be the other way around. How am I going to do this? I'm going to click on flip, and once I click on flip, the stair will now rise from here and end here. So I'm now going to click finish. So as you can see, I've created this stairway now. So what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to click on this stairway. I'm going to go over to this region here, this tab here, and I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. Then I'm just going to paste it and paste align selected levels, and I'm going to paste it on first floor. So it will also create a stairway to the second floor. So now I'm going to go back to first floor. So now as you can see, on this first floor, I'm still going to edit the floors again because as you can see, our staircase reached this point. So our staircase started from here and went up to this point. So we're going to adjust our floor. So I'm going to click on this floor. I'm going to click on edit boundaries. I'm going to push this floor backwards to this point and I'm going to click finish. And I'm going to click do not attach. So now I notice one thing with this facade element, and I'm just going to push this wall here and I'm going to drag up to this wall. And I'm just going to push this wall here, so it will just be enclosed, and I'm going to drag this back here. So now I'm going to click on tab to be able to select this our slab we created, or simply go over here and click on this slab. Then I'm going to click on edit boundary and I'm just going to click on trim tool to trim this here. So this is going to be a void, so I'm just going to click finish. So as you can see, we have created the stairway. So now we are now going to go to the 10th floor. So under this 10th floor, we are going to go to 10th floor. You can see this is the stairway I duplicated. So we're just going to create a floor slab for this 10th floor. We're going to adjust this as well because of the update we made. And we're going to go to architecture. We're going to go to floor. And we're going to start drawing the profile of our floor. We're just going to draw it to this point. This point, we're going to draw it up until this point. Going to draw it here, and we're going to draw it here. So as you can see, we have created the floor for the paint floor. So we're going to go back to 3D view and we're going to see what we've done. So as you can see all the slabs are coming out. You can see the kind of progress we are making, and we're just going to adjust some other issues. So I also notice here. So I noticed that this wall is actually continuous from the ground. So I'm just going to go to DPC. So under this DPC, of course, I'll save the project. Alright, so I'm just going to click on this split element and I'm going to use it to split this wall. So now I'm going to click this wall and set the constraint to be at first floor, so it will not interfere with this wall here. So I'm going to go back to 3D view and see it. So I'm going to go to first floor to try and nullify this conflict I'm seeing here and just adjust it. So I'm going to go back to 3D view and see how it's good. So I think it's coming out well. As you can see, everything is just flowing as intended. All right, so now we are going to start creating the roof slabs. So I'm just going to turn this over to this view, and it's obvious it will be easy to track. Then I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to floor. Instead of this DPC slab, I'm going to look for roof deck slab I created before. I'm just going to select it, roof deck. Then I'm going to set the level as roof level, and I'm just going to draw it. You see why it's good to work on levels well. As you can see, it's just easy. It's seamless for me to be working on this project because I set the levels very well. And I'm just going to select this and I'm going to click finish. Don't attach. So now we could see a little bit of conflict here. I'm just going to click on this wall and I'm going to change the top offset to -150 so it won't interfere with the slab. So everything is looking good. Even here as well, I could still go over here, change this to -150 so it will not be interfering. And the same for here. Could select this wall, select this wall, select this wall, even select this wall, -150. So they won't interfere with the slabs. Alright, so now I think we are done with the slabs. We are now going to enter the fenestrations and maybe the material applications and the color of the building. So this is when the design aspect starts coming more into play. So of course I'm going to start from the ground floor, that is DPC. So while working on fenestration and doors and openings, we always start from the DPC instead of the NGL. So what I usually simply do is, for fenestrations, I'll just go to an already existing project I've done before, and I'm just going to copy some doors and windows instead of starting to look for them in my Revit library. So I'm just going to go to the DPC of this, and I'm just simply going to copy this wall, copy this wall as well, copy this curtain wall, hold Control, copy this, hold Control, copy this wall too. And I think also copy this curtain wall too, just for a reason. And I'm also going to copy this because of the kitchen cabinet, so it will be easy for me. Copy this furniture, copy this component, and I'm just going to click copy to clipboard. Then I'm going to go to NGL or DPC of this our project, and I'm going to go to NGL. Then I'm just going to hit Ctrl V on my keyboard to paste it. Okay, so now we're just going to place them outside, far from the main project. So now we've placed them, we're going to go to this 3D view and we're going to delete all of them because I just placed them anyhow. So I'm just going to select all of them and I'm going to delete it. So now we'll now go back to DPC because now I've brought them in my project. Automatically they're already embedded in this project's library. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to door. So under this door, I'm just going to go under the door I imported, which is this D1, D2 series. So I'm just going to click on D1. So this D1 is just the basic door, and it's always important when placing doors, you should change this level of detailedness to fine. So all the details of the door will show. So I'm just going to click on door again. As you can see, the door hinge is visible. You can now see all the details. I'm going to place a door here. I'm also going to place another door here. I'm going to place a door here as well. Okay, Then I'm going to place a door here. I'm also going to place a door here for the laundry store, and I'm going to place another door here. So now I'm going to place a door here. Okay, not this door. So now I'm going to use a smaller door, D2, and this smaller door is basically for the convenience. So I'm going to place a door here. I'm going to place another door here. So I'm going to place another door here. Okay, so now I'm going to place a door here too. I'm going to place let me place a double door. So now I'm going to select this double door. I'm going to place one here to access to this space, to this corridor. I'm going to place another door here that is for access to this living area. Then I'm just going to place another small door here. Go to doors. So now I want to use some sliding doors, but I don't have some sliding doors, so I'm going to go back to that project and drag in a sliding door from here. Okay, another thing I'll make after we are done with this Revit file, I'm going to make it available, although it will cost you a small token, but it's just a way of supporting the channel and telling us, hey, you guys are trying, so we'll keep making this kind of content for you people. So but it won't be too expensive. It will just be a small token, but you have access to the full Revit project along with all the furnitures and templates I've brought into this project, so just keep that in mind. All right, so we're going to go back to the project, that project I was drawing stuffs from. So I'm just going to go to it. I'm going to see if I could draw more stuff. I'll go back to DPC. Then I'm just going to try and look for this sliding door. I'm going to select this wall here, so I'll get the sliding door. Will come in as well. I'm going to click on this hidden element, so I'm going to see if I could select the furnitures too. So I'm going to try and select every furniture here, so I'll use it for future furniture purpose. Remember, I'm going to select this one because I want to get the sliding door. I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this as well. Select this, select this, select this, select this. And then I'm going to select this bed. I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this. So I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to go back to this view again, DPC, and I'm going to click Ctrl V. And I'm going to click OK. All right, so now is in the project. We're just going to paste it, and we're going to click OK. So we're going to go back to 3D view. As you can see all these furnitures, and we are going to see how I'm going to use them in future. So I'm just going to select all of them for now and delete. Then I'm going to go back to DPC. So now remember, I was trying to bring in a sliding door, so I'm going to go to door. Since I've copied it from the other project, I can now access it in my project. So I'm just going to click on the sliding door and I'm going to place it. It's actually too wide, so I'm going to edit the parameter. I'm going to change the width from 2.4. I'm going to change the width to 2.1. I'm going to click apply. So as you can see, the door has changed. I will just adjust it a bit. So now I'm going to put this entrance door. For this entrance door, I want to be using a curtain wall embedded door. So to do that, firstly, I'm going to go to annotate. I'm going to draw a line here. And I'm going to draw a line here. So now, if you remember, I copied a curtain wall door from this other project, and it came with a curtain wall embedded door. So the fact that I've copied it to this project means I can now access it in this project, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to access it, because if you go to architecture and go to the normal door library, you're not going to see the curtain wall embedded door. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall. Then I'm going to select under this basic wall. I'm going to go to curtain walls. So under this curtain wall, I'm now going to set the constraints. Instead of lintel 1, I'm going to make this entrance door above the lintel. I'm going to set it at the first floor, but I'm going to give it an offset of -450. Then now I've done this offset, I'm just going to draw the curtain wall. All right, so now we've done this curtain wall. Now you can see it's just a simple curtain wall. It's empty. we're going to go to 3D view and we're going to start working on this curtain wall. So now you can see the glazing. So what we're first going to do is we're going to go to this architecture. We're going to go to this curtain grid. So under this curtain grid, you are now going to place some horizontal and vertical grids. So we're going to place this vertical grid at 500. We're going to also place this one at, let's say 800, but we could adjust it. We could make this 600. We could keep in mind that this wall here is obstructing us. So how are we going to temporarily hide it? We could just click on it and type HH for temporary hide. HH again on this one. So we'll see everything as clear as Crystal Palace. So we're just going to change this grid to 600. We're going to add curtain grid and we're going to change this to and add another horizontal grid. So we're going to add one more set of grid. We're going to go to curtain grid. We're going to go to one segment instead of all segment, because if you click on this all segment, the grid will go all the way. But if you click on one segment, it will just go into one segment as stated. Alright, so now we've created this grid. We're just going to add one more. That is the one segment one. So I'm just going to place it here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on add or remove segment. Then I'm just going to add this segment here and I'm going to click escape. So as you can see, this is the grid pattern of this curtain wall. So I'll now go to munions. So under these munions, I'm going to select the munions I want to use. So I'm going to use this munion main. I could check the parameters of the munions. This is the thickness of the munion. This is the width of the munion, and this is the material of the munion. So I'll click OK and I'm going to click all grid and I'm just going to place it here. So as you can see, the munions have appeared and everything is looking nice. But we want to now place a curtain wall embedded door. So firstly, I'm going to select this munion down here and delete it. Then I'm going to click on tab. And I'm going to click on this. Then I'm going to click on this unpin tab over here. Once I click on this, I'm just going to select, go over here, click this drop down icon. Then I'm going to see options of what I could use to replace this. So I'm going to look for door, the curtain wall door I imported. So now, since the door didn't actually come in, I'm just going to go back to this other project where I was getting my family's form and see how I'll get this door. So I'm going to try and open it. So the door I want to get is this door. So I'm going to go to the 3D view of this. Then I'm just going to try and get this particular door. So I want to get this door, this particular curtain wall embedded door. So I'm just going to click on this curtain wall and I'm going to make sure I hold Control to select this door. Tab. I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to click on copy. Then I'm going to go back to this other project and I'm going to go to this top view and click on paste. So I'm going to paste this here. So now I've pasted this here, I can see this door here and I want this door to come here. So I'll just delete this. So now I'm going to click on tab again because I'm sure this door should be in this project and I'm going to look for where the door is placed. I'm going to see, let me start from this curtain wall metal. There's a reason why this door is not showing. I'm going to try and see if I could locate the door. Or if the door is not important, okay, look at the door here. So I'm just going to click on this door here to change it to this door. So as you can see now, I've replaced that curtain wall panel with this door. So now I'm going to do something similar. So now I'm just going to select these other two panels beside this curtain wall door. I'm going to try and select them. Select this. I'm going to click on tab and select this. And I'm just going to click on this unpin. And I'm going to change this curtain wall glazing to window. Going to tab again, because for some reason it didn't select this together. Click on this, change it to curtain wall window. So as you can see, I've embedded a window and a door in this curtain wall. So I'm going to go to DPC and I'm going to see that the window and the door are reflecting appropriately. So now I'm going to go to the first floor for this door placement. And in the same fashion, I'm going to be placing the doors. But for this first floor, there's something interesting. I want to create a single flight staircase. So I'm going to go back to DPC. What I mean by single flight, I want the staircase to run from here and just land somewhere here. So I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to steps. I'm going to set the constraints. I'm going to set it at first floor. So I'm just going to click on sketch. So this stairs, I want it to be narrow and not occupy too much space. So I'm going to start it from here and draw it about 3.3 to this point and draw it about, let's say, 3 meters into this point. So I'm also going to click on this line here. Now I'm going to use this line here to just, this line here, these two here, I'm going to click on this filter arc. Then I'm going to select this line, and I'm going to draw an arc here. So this arc is 1.5. I'm simply going to go to this offset and offset 900 because I want the staircase to be 900 millimeters wide. So I'm just going to click on this offset. So now I'm going to be drawing some risers. Instead of the regular 300, since this staircase isn't a major staircase, I'm going to be offsetting 275 millimeters. 275. So I'm just going to be copying the 275, 275, 275, 275, 275, 275. And I'm still going to copy one more. Then I'm just going to select all of them and I'm going to click on move. And I'm just going to move this to this point. So it will just adjust appropriately. So I'm just going to use the trim tool to trim this here, So as you can see, we have 8 risers created, we have 15 remaining, which is a lot. So I'm just going to click on risers again, and I'm going to click on this and riser here, and I'm going to offset this 275, 275, 275, 275, 275, 275. So I'm just going to do the same for here, and I'm going to try and move this to this point. So as you can see, we are still lacking a lot of risers. So we are going to go to risers again. So we are going to be drawing from this focal point, and we're just going to try and draw at let's use 168 degrees, or that is like if you go to annotate and you check the angular dimension, we're going to just check this and check this. That is 12 degrees intervals. So we're just going to click on this line. We're going to use this trim and extend, and we're just going to click on this line and trim it here. So what we're simply going to do is we're going to click on this line, we're going to click on this mirror, but we're going to, instead of drawing our axis, we're going to pick our axis. So we're just going to pick this line as the axis. We're going to select these two, click on pick, and pick this one as the axis. We're going to select this three, click on pick axis, and pick this as the axis. So now we've done this, we're just going to delete this riser here, and we're going to push these ones back a bit. We're going to push these ones back by, let's say, 100. Then we're just going to trim this. So as you can see, we only have 2 risers remaining. So we could get 1 riser from this side, and we could get 1 riser from this side. All right, so we're just going to click on offset here. Although I'm feeling this staircase is already occupying too much space, so I'm just going to trim this and trim this. Cancel. I'm going to trim this and trim this. So now I'm going to go to this stair part now. So instead of trying to do some line work here, I'm just going to simply click on select. Then I'm going to click on offset 450 because the width of the staircase is 900. So I'm just going to select here. So for this stair part, and select this line too. So it should just follow this, and I'm going to click finish. So now the staircase is actually coming from here to this point, but I want to flip it. So I'm going to just flip it to come from here up to this point. So the Revit has given me a notification to save the project, so I'm going to do that, and it's going to save. All right, so now as you can see, our staircase has created successfully. So I also want to create an opening linking this dining to this lounge. So I'm just going to click on this one. I'm going to drag it to this point. Then I'm going to click on join elements. So this place will be open. I'll still show you how to separate it, or I could just make it bevel in here a bit. I could just use a line to help me get the extent I want it to enter. So let me just draw 750 and align this here. All right, so now DPC, we have placed all the doors. I think we've placed all the doors we need. We're now going to go to this first floor. So in this first floor, I'm going to explain the reason why I drew this staircase, because I wanted to do a family lounge. So I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall. So I'm just going to draw a wall here first. I'm going to check this to 0. I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw this to this point as, let's say, first floor. not first floor. I'm going to draw the set the constraint at 10th floor. So now I'm just going to draw another wall here. Okay, this curtain wall, so I'm going to change this architecture, go to change this wall back to my default wall first. So I'm just going to draw this wall here and join this. So now my issue now is when I was working on this void, I actually drew this wall to run from ground to 10th floor. So I'm just going to change that by making this stop at the first floor, and I'm going to unjoin this element. So I'm just going to draw this wall and flush it to this point. So now our wall here is independent of the wall on the ground floor. So I want to do a small balcony linking to this place so people can come from this lounge downstairs and just access this family lounge up here. So what I'm going to do firstly, I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to place a door there. I'm going to place a single swing door. So I'm just going to look for a good door, D1, and I'm just going to place it here. Remember what I said about level of detail, and I'm going to change this in detail level. I'm going to change it to fine. Then I'm just going to make sure this door is flushing with this wall here. So now I'm going to select this and I'm going to edit the boundary of this floor. Then I'm just going to make sure that the boundary of this floor is attaching to the edge of this stairway, and I'm just going to draw it like this and make sure it flushes here. So now I've done this, I'm going to click don't attach. I'm going to need a railing here so it will guide people from falling off this place, and I'm also going to need another railing here. Okay, I don't need a railing here because there's still another staircase going up. So as usual, I'm going to add another door here too. So I'm going to click on door. I'm going to add a door here for security reasons on this first floor. So now I'm going to click on architecture. I'm going to click on doors again. I'm going to add the same sliding door I used on the ground floor for this first floor. So I'm going to add it here. Or I could just go to the DPC. I could just select this. I could just click on copy. I could just click on paste, align to selected levels, and I could just select first floor. Then I'm going to click on first floor. So now I'm going to start placing other doors for these spaces here. So I'm going to go to door. Since this is a mega bedroom, I'm going to put a more elaborate door there. I'm going to put a double swing door here. Since it's a big bedroom, select, put this door. Then I'm going to put normal doors. And this is also a study library. So I'm just going to put a big door here as well. So I'm now going to select single doors, D1, like regular doors, to put as access to these bedrooms. I'm also going to put doors as access to these bedrooms. Then I'm going to click on door again, and I'm going to click on D2 to select the smaller doors for the conveniences. I'm going to select a door here for this convenience, select another one here. I'm also going to place a door linking to this balcony, a small door too. So I'm going to click this. I'm going to adjust this door here. I'm also going to adjust this door here. So now I'm going to go to door again, and I'm going to use this door and place this door here. I'm also going to place this door here. While placing this door, I'm going to adjust this, and I'm going to place this door here. I'm also going to click on this and place this door here. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to put a nice curtain wall glazing here, because this place is actually a prominent part of this project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, of course, draw a line here, and I'm going to draw another line here where I want it to stop. So I'm going to extend this, let's say 1000, okay, 975, and draw this here. So now I'm going to click on architecture. I'm going to click on walls. I'm going to click on curtain wall because I want to place some curtain wall and some doors there. So I'm going to click on curtain wall here, and under this curtain wall, I'm going to set the constraint to be from first floor to 10th floor, and I'm going to click on the top offset minus 450 so it won't interfere with the beam. So I'm just going to run a long curtain wall glazing from here and place it here. So I'm just going to go to this. So now we've created this curtain wall. We're now going to start adding the munions. So I'm going to go to curtain grid again. I'm going to start adding munions here. Let's say 900. I'm going to space them at the interval of 900. You can do this automatically. It's just me, I preferably use manual, so I just get it to how I want the curtain walls to be. Change this to 900. So this will be the redundant panel. So I'm just going to click on curtain wall grid again, and I'm going to place this grid as here at this position. So I'm kind of feeling like the grid spacing is too tight, so I'm going to change it to 1 meter. You see why I like doing this manually, so I'll have this flexibility I want. So I'm going to change this to 1 meter. Okay, I actually don't need this cutting grid here, so I'm just going to go to munions and I'm going to go to all grid. So now I've done this, I'm just going to click on tab because I want to put a door inside this curtain wall. So what I'm going to do, since in the other project I don't want to start going to the other project, I'm just going to import this door. So I'm going to click on insert, I'm going to click on insert Revit family, that is load family. So I'm just going to go and access my library, so this may take a little bit of time. Alright, so now I've located the door I want to use. I'm just going to click on the door, this single door, and I'm going to click on open. So now I've clicked on open, I've loaded the single door into the project. So I'm just going to select this panel at this extreme end, and I'm going to tab it, and I'm just going to select this and just unpin it. Then I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change this to single door. So as you can see, the single door is now here. I can just select this munion here and delete it. So I could go to the first floor and just change this and just change the swing of this door. So as you can see how the space is coming out well. So I'll just go further and place other doors. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to place a regular door, and I'm going to place one here. So now I'm just going to adjust the position of this door and place it here. So now as you can see, we've made significant progress on this first floor. We're about to go to the pont floor. So I could also use some lines to indicate that this is a void. This is just some facade works. Indicate this is a void. Also use line indicating this is also a void here. Indicating this is a void. Then I'm also going to use line indicating this is a void, indicating this is a void. So now I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to railing, and I'm going to draw a simple railing here. So I'm just going to use this 900mm pipe, and I'm going to draw the railing from this center point and claw it to this point. So I'm going to click finish. So now I want to draw some railings for these balconies here. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to railing. So now usually I could just easily select this 900mm pipe railing, but I want to use some glazed, some glass realistic contemporary railing. So I'm just going to click on this railing. Like I said, you could get all these families once you get the component. You get the Revit file, which will be available for you people to get at a small token. So I'm just going to draw this railing here. I'm also going to draw this railing up to this point, and I'm going to click finish. So if you go to our 3D view, we could see how the railing is coming out. We could see these are the glass railing panels. We could see the door we've created and how it's coming out. So we'll go back to this first floor and continue drawing other railings. We're going to go to architecture, we're going to go to railings again, and we're going to draw the same railings. And we're going to click finish. We're going to go to architecture, we're going to draw the same railings. And I'm going to click finish. So now I think we are done with the doors of the first floor. So we're going to go to the paint floor now. For this paint floor, there isn't really too much to be done. We're just going to create some spaces here and some spaces there just to finish up with this space. So we are going to just go, and because this is a luxury residence, so we want to create some luxury features in this paint floor. So I'm just going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to door. I'm going to place D1 like a regular door at this staircase, just at the same position. I'm also going to change this view to fine. so we'll be able to see the details of the stuff we are creating here. So now we are just going to draw another railing here, but this time this railing will go all the way to this point. We're going to go to architecture, we're going to go to railing, and we're just going to draw a long railing. Since this is a terrace, we're just going to make sure the railing is long enough, or the terrace is very big. So we're just going to click on it and finish it. As usual, we are seeing the underlay of the other components of the first floor, so we are going to turn that off by clicking this and clicking none. So now we are going to put some doors here. So first of all, we are going to go to door. We are going to change this door to double swing because this is a mega room. Alright, so we are going to also go and place other doors. We are going to go to door again, and we are going to select another door. We are going to use sliding door for this extra lounge in this bedroom. So we're just going to click sliding door here and place this here. Alright, so now we could just go and add some doors to this place. We're going to add door to this convenience. And we're going to just adjust it to this position. Okay, so it's at this point now that all my fenestrations, I'll start doing the facade design. So for each of the fenestration I'll place, I'm going to be looking at the 3D to see how it will come out in respect to the facade design. So as you can see, I'm going to be trying and creating an effect on this facade now. So I'm going just to be seeing what I can do to make it look better than it is now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this paint floor, and I'm going to see if I will be able to replicate what I just did on this first floor here. So I'm simply going to click on this, and I'm just going to click on copy, and I'm going to paste it, align to selected level, and I'm going to paste it on the paint floor. So it's at this point now, even though it's always good to apply grids at the early stages of the project, but because of my design prowess, I could go without applying those grids and most of my walls will still be aligned. Alright, so let me just go back to 3D again, and I want to look at this thing very critically and see what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to go back to this DPC, and I want to draw a long curtain wall glazing from here running up to the paint floor. So I'm just going to start by drawing a line here. Then I'm going to click on architecture, I'm going to click on walls, and I'm now going to draw a curtain wall. So I'm going to set the top constraint to, I'm going to use ceiling level, and I'm going to click on 0. And this DPC, I'm going to click on this base offset to be at 150. So I'm just going to click on enter. So now I'm just going to draw the curtain wall and make it, let me make it 1.8 and see how it will come out. So now I'm just going to look at how the thing is coming out, but I still feel like I can extend it. So I'm just going to extend it to this point. Okay, let me just reduce it a bit back to how it was. So I'm just going to undo. So now I've drawn this curtain wall panel, I'm going to click on cutting grids to draw some grids on it. So I'm just going to place the grid at 600mm interval. So I'm going to draw some munions. So I'm just going to draw some munions at this level, and I'm going to be spacing the munions here and here. So I'm just going to draw this munion to this point. This glazing, I'm just going to click on munions, I'm going to click on all grid, and I'm going to assign munions to this. So I'm going to be placing some curtain wall embedded windows where I want the windows to be, because even though this is a full curtain wall, some parts needs to be openable for ventilation, not only for lighting. So I'm just going to unpin them. I'm going to change them from curtain wall glazing to metal window. I'm also going to do the same for those on this level, because this is a paint floor space. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this tab. I'm also going to select this. I'm going to unpin them, and I'm going to change this to curtain wall. So as you can see, this is the glazing. So now I'll be working with these materials. I want to change this material of this wall here. So I want to make this dark, and I want to inverse this. I just want to interplay with colors. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this wall as well. I'm going to try and select this wall, I'm going to select, okay, not this wall here, I'm going to select this wall as well. So I'm just going to change this wall. I'm going to change it to dark walls. Both of them will become dark walls. So I'm just going to change this to dark wall 225. I'm going to go to this DPC again. I'm going to click on this wall and I'm going to change it to dark wall. I'm going to go to the first floor. I'm going to click on this wall. This time I'm just going to click on, okay, so I'm going to go back to this 3D view and see. I'm going to click on this wall as well and I'm going to change it to dark wall. I'm going to do the same. I may end up changing this dark wall to Tyrolean, but let me leave it as just dark walls for now. I'm going to go to this bent floor level and I'm going to click on this split tool to split this wall. Detach target. I'm going to click on this wall and I'm going to change this wall to dark wall too. Alright, so now I'm going to, since I've changed all this place to dark, I'm going to invert this element back to white because it will be kind of looking covered up here. So I'm going to select this, select this, select this, select this as well. I'm also going to select this wall here. I'm also going to select this wall here. And I'm going to change all of them back to white walls. So I'm going to change them to back to white walls. And I'm going to be changing this one here that is under this as well, and this as well. And I'm going to be changing this wall here to dark walls. Since this is a 150mm wall, I will leave it white. I'm just going to be changing this. Click on this, click on this, and I'm going to change it to a dark wall. So there's just this contrast. Now I'm going to select this wall here and I'm going to select this. Well, I won't call it wall, I'll just call it an ornament, an aesthetic element to change it to white so there'll be contrast. So as you can see the contrast in colors that I'm creating from changing all these wall types. So I'm going to type HR because you know we created some column walls here. So for these column walls, I want to make these column walls more emphasized and more iconic in this front. So I'm just going to go to this DPC and see how I can work with this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to adjust this slab here and I'm going to extend this wall. So I'm just going to push this wall. I'm going to push it off by let's use 900. So now I've pushed it off, I can now extend this wall up to this point. Okay, so now I will just adjust this floor here and I'm going to click on edit boundary and I'm just going to select both of these and I'm going to click on move and I'm going to move this to this point. Then I'm just going to trim this and I'm going to click finish. So now we could maybe put a flower pot here, something, just something ornamental. I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to trim this. I don't want here to be a slab. I'm going to put a glass railing here and I'm going to go to NGL and I'm just going to draw a wall to fill up here. The wall will just be to the DPC, so I'm just going to click on 0. I'm going to change this from curtain wall to not regular white walls, or rather I'm going to change this to brick wall. So this brick wall is just for tiling bricks. So it's still a normal wall, but it just have some brick properties. Like the material I apply to it is brick, so I don't usually like painting, so everything will just be set in place. So now I'm just going to select this wall, select this wall too, and I'm now going to change the material, the wall type, to brick wall that I've already created before. So I'm going to look for it and just change it. So as you can see, this element is now more pronounced than before and it's coming out. So we're just going to go back to this DPC and we're just going to click on architecture, we're going to click on railing, and we're just going to draw a railing here and we're going to click finish. So we're going to go to the 3D view and see what we are doing. So as you can see, we're making some progress, so we still need to do some design here and some design here just to keep up with the touch. So I'm going to click on this wall and change it to dark wall, a dark wall 50 wall. So this will be like one element. So if you are massing in Revit, it's always important, or even as a designer, if you are massing, you will also keep in mind that each mass will have its own color, so it will give this kind of good contrast in the eye. Okay, so now I'm going to be working more on the other fenestrations. So typically you could just go to DPC and you could just go to Windows and you could use Revit Windows, or you could import Windows, but I don't actually use Windows while modeling because I prefer using cutting walls as Windows because of its versatility. I've also made a video on how to use it too, so you could check that video out, or even in this video I'm still going to be sharing some tips I use on using this method of modeling. So I'm going to be using detail line, and I'm going to start doing my fenestrations. And anytime I'm doing this fenestration, I'll always refer back to the facade just to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to look at how I could just work on this to create a very good effect. So I want to do something here. I want to actually drag on this element to this point to create one kind of nice shape here. So to do that, I'm going to go back to I'm going to go to the ground floor. Let's start from the base first. So I'm going to click on architecture. I'm going to click on wall. So instead of this brick wall, I'm going to go back to cutting wall. So we'll be working a lot with these cutting walls now, and we're just going to be using it to create windows that will duplicate around. They are not actual windows and they are cutting walls, but I just use them because of their versatility I get, and I can just manipulate it instead of so I'm just going to create this window or this glazing here. I'm going to back to the 3D view. So I'm going to be adjusting the parameters and adding some munions to this. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to make the offset of 300, so it will be 300 millimeter above the DPC. So now it's 300. I'm going to go to cutting grid, and I'm going to just be adding some munions here, and I'm also going to be adding a munion here at 600, a grid here, sorry. So I'm just going to click on all grids. I'm going to click on all grids and place this here. So I'm just going to hold tab to add some cutting wall embedded windows here. Hold control, select this one, tab again, hold control, select this one. Then I'm just going to click on this on pin. Then I'm just going to change this from glazing to cutting wall windows. So I'm going to go back to DPC. So now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go to this side now and start placing some other fenestrations here. So I'm going to use line because I usually like using lines as reference points. So I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to draw make an offset of let's use 300. Just create this line here. I don't want these lines to be obstructing me, so I'm going to click on this, hide in view by element. I'm also going to hide this scope box, hide in view by element. I'm going to hide this, or just simply click on this hide crop region. I'm also going to select this spot elevation marks, and I'm going to hide elevation tag, sorry, and I'm going to hide in view by category. So we'll have our building left to complete. So another thing I forgot to do is I forgot to create a duct here. So I'm going to be going back to NGL. This is just by the way, and I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to draw a wall because I know there is a convenience above here. So the duct is also going to serve for that convenience. Firstly, I'm just going to extend this WC a bit because of the duct to 1.8. Then I'm just going to now the 1.8 here is a bit too tight. I'm going to change it to 1650. That's 1.65. Then I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall, and I'm just going to, instead of cutting wall, I'm going to select the regular 150 wall. Then I'm just going to draw a duct, a sizable duct. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change the constraints. I'm going to change it from DPC to pent floor. Not to pent floor. I'm going to stop it at, I'm going to stop it at pent floor because that's where it stops. So I'm just going to add some dimensions for it to guide me. I'll later delete all these dimensions after I'm done with its use later on in the project. So I think this 325 by 325 is a bit too tight, but I think it will serve. So I'm just going to make the width 300. So now I'm going to go to the DPC, and I'm going to add some duct grills here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall. I've already created a duct grill cutting wall component. So I'm just going to look for it, and I'm just going to use the duct grill to work. So I'm going to search. So see the grill panels. So I'm going to set it from DPC to paint floor, and I'm going to give it an offset minus 450 and a DPC 300. So I'm just going to draw. I'm going to escape first, click on annotate and draw a line as a guide. So I will not go off, and I'm going to go to architecture, wall. Then I'm just going to draw this and place this here. So as you can see, if you go back to the 3D view and you rotate it, you are going to see the duct here. So as you can see, we are getting this little by little. So we're going to go back to DPC and we're going to continue the fenestrations we wanted to draw here. So we're going to go to wall. Under this wall, we're going to go back to simple curtain walls. We're going to go to curtain wall panel. Then we're going to set this back to lintel 1, and we're going to remove this top offset. We're going to leave the base offset at 300. Then we're just going to draw our window. Alright, so now we've drawn this window. We're just going to this curtain wall rather. We're just going to change the direction here by simply clicking this or this. So we're going to make sure it's this way. So we're going to go back to this 3D view. So now we want to actually use this as a narrow but high level window. Not high level, but a narrow and long window. So we're just going to add curtain grid, and we're going to divide this window into 2 panels. We're going to go to architecture, we're going to go to Munion, and we're going to add grids, and we're just going to add this. Then we're going to click on tab to select the panels individually and select these panels. So we're just going to unpin them. Then we're going to select this curtain wall embedded window and place it here. So I'm just going to go back to DPC, and I'm just going to click on use lines again to get this reference point at 300 offset, so it will align. Then I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to copy this and place this here. So the same way, I'm just simply going to go to this view. So instead of trying to place this separately again, I could just simply click on this and click on this, then click on copy, click on paste, click on align to selected views and paste it on the first floor. But you see it's hanging on the air. We are now going to go to this first floor, and we're simply going to click on move. We're going to look for the central line here, move it, and we're just going to place it at the central line of this wall, and it automatically just come out nice. So if you look at this, we're going to look at how it comes out. So as you can see, the alignment is there and it's looking good. So we're also going to go back to this first floor, and we're going to draw a wall for the sake of aesthetics here. So it's not really a wall. The wall tool I'm using, but it's an ornamental tool, so just keep that in mind. So I'm just going to use this wall now. I think it's 75mm wall. I'm going to change this from wall center to finish exterior. So I'm going to leave this at lintel 2, and I'm just going to change this base offset to minus 450. Then I'm just going to draw the wall, since it's a cantilever, to about 750. So we are just going to go back to this view. So as you can see, this is how it's coming out, and it's actually coming out as intended. So now we're going to go to this first floor, and we're just going to click on this window, and we're just going to copy this, and we're going to copy it to this point and place it here. So given the fact this is a toilet, I don't want this curtain wall to share this curtain wall to be the same with this one, because we want a smaller window because of privacy, since it's a toilet. So I'm just going to simply increase the base offset, and I'm going to change this to 1.2. So now the base constraint is 1.2. I could click on tap and select this grid here and just delete the grid, so it will be one single panel. So I'm just going to click on this and copy it, and I'm going to paste this, align to selected. I'm going to align this on the ground floor and see how it comes out. So I'm going to go to DPC and see, okay, so the thing actually aligned well. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to copy this again, and I'm going to place it on this other end here. So this is still too tight though. It's still too tight, so I could just adjust something a bit. I could just move this by, let's say, 50. I could go to the first floor I could do the same. Okay, it doesn't even matter on the first floor, so I'll just move it regardless. So as you can see, we could just edit this floor. Since this is a duct, we could edit this floor and edit the boundaries and just cut this here, cut this here, and just trim this and click finish. Don't ask. Alright, so as you can see, we're making progress on the fenestration, but there's still a lot of work to be done, especially on this region. Like if you go to the 3D and you just rotate the building, you'll see we have literally not done anything on this region. So I have a design in mind for this region, what we're going to do. So now what I want to do for this design is kind of create a flow pattern here. So you are going to see exactly how I'm going to do it. First of all, I'm going to click on these two walls. And I'm going to change these walls to dark walls. So now I've changed them to dark walls. It has now given me provision to work on it as a plane surface. So I'm going to go back to DPC. So now I'm just going to start drawing a wall from here, a 75 mm thick wall from here. And I'm first going to draw some line of references. So I'm going to be using detail line. I'm going to draw one here to about 1.5 offset, just draw a projection line. Then I'm going to give a space interval of 1.2. Then after this 1.2, I'll make a projection. Then I'm going to do 1.5 again. Make projection. Then another 1.2. Make projection. Then I'm just going to do the same for this 1.5 and make projections. So now I'm going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to wall. I'm going to select this basic white wall. I'm going to remove this DPC offset to 0. So instead, I'm even going to change this to -150. So it will align with this element here. So now I'm going to change the top constraint to. So I'm going to change the top constraint to roof level. Alright, so now we are free to start and we'll just draw this first. So now we've drawn this, we're going to go to this 3D. So I want this thing to flow like, will I say a snake pattern, to just flow all the way to this point here. So it will create a character. So I'm just going to go back to DPC. I'm going to leave this interval of 1.2. I'm going to go to wall again. And I'm going to draw another wall like this. I'm also going to do the same and draw another wall like this. Alright, so now we are going to go back to this 3D view. So as you can see these three elements is forming now. So I'm now going to join this element. Let's see what is going to yield and while creating this. So I'm going to start from this bottom part, or rather I'm going to start from this top part. And I'm going to make it flow this way. So it will just flow all the way to this point. Okay, so I'm going to go back to DPC. And I'm also going to select this wall now. And I'm going to set the constraint again. And I'm going to readjust this constraint. Instead of roof level, I'm going to set this at lintel 1. And I'm going to put this at minus, let's say -1.5. Is that too low? Okay, that is too low. Let's say -1050. And I think that is good. So we're just going to draw this here. So as you can see, we'll go back to this and you can now see the pattern is forming. So we're going to go to this side here and we're going to go, let's use lintel 3 as our level where we'll be working with. So since we have this flowing here, we're just going to go to wall here. And we're going to draw from lintel 3 to ceiling level and we're going to remove the constraint here. So we are going to even add -450. So it will just match the 1500 width or -600. So now we are just going to see how we are going to draw this and form this. So we're going to go back to the 3D view. As you can see, we actually put the top constraint at ceiling level instead of roof level. So let's put it at roof level and we're going to remove this base offset to 0. So everything is aligning properly. As you can see, this is already forming a nice element here, and this is looking very good. So we are going to go back again, and we're going to go to DPC once more. Okay, so this is actually forming an inverse of what I wanted it to form, because if I wanted it to flow this way instead, flow this way, and this way, or rather I could just say Ctrl+Z. What I'm going to do is telling me to save. I don't want to save now. I'll click on this. I'll go to this top view. I'm going to copy this here. Click on copy this to this point, delete this one now, then go to DPC, click on this, copy it to this point. So now, as you can see, this is now making more sense. You can see how it's flowing now. Now it's flowing this way. So we could just connect to this one. So we're now going to add another wall here just to flow with this parapet. So what I'm simply going to do is, all right, so I'm just going to select this parapet wall. I'm just going to click on copy, and I'm going to copy one out here. So I'm just going to simply click on this copied one and change it to that 75 mm wall just for it to flow. So let's look for it and click on it. So now I'm just going to adjust the position, and I'm going to place it here. So I'm going to go to this paint floor level where I could get a better grasp of it, and I'm just going to click on this wall, and I'm going to adjust it and place it to this point. So I'm going to go back to this 3D view, and we're going to see how we've modeled this facade and how it's looking. So as you can see, this is actually looking good, but we could just see if we drag this down, it will still flow very well like it's flowing. Let's see if we drag this to this position here, and let's change this to minus 2475 or minus 2004. So as you can see, all the same, it's still looking very good. So we're going to add some fenestrations to this. Particularly, we're going to be using long glazing. So we're going to go back to DPC. So as you can see, there's already a line here for reference. So we're going to click on wall. Instead of this wall, now we're going to go back to our cutting wall. So under this cutting wall, we have our DPC here. So we are just going to set the offset to be at 300. So now we are going to change the constraint to lintel level 3, which is the highest lintel level. Then we're just going to draw this. Then we're going to go back to the 3D view and see whether it's conflicting. So as you can see, this lintel level 3 is just the borderline for this. So we're just going to click on this, and we're just going to add some grids to it. Or before we start adding some grids, let's draw the fenestration here and probably do a final one here. So we're just going to go to DPC again, but this time this wall is very high. This fenestration is very high, so we need to make it high because of the character here. So we're just going to draw wall, going to draw architecture, going to go to wall. Since we want to create a kind of variation characteristics on the elevation, so we're going to make the top constraint higher at set it to ceiling level. Then we're just going to make the base offset about 1.2. So we're just going to draw this from here and draw this here. So we're going to go back to this 3D view, and we're going to see what's coming up. So this 1.2 is still not enough. We're going to make it 1350. So we're going to see how it's coming out. So as you can see, the thing is, the character is coming out more and more. We're going to go back to this DPC, and as you can see, we cannot see this window, this curtain wall we just created. So how are we going to see this? We are simply going to go to edit view range. We're going to look for view range in this properties panel. So once you go to view range, we're going to increase the cut plane. This cut plane, you know, every floor plan is a horizontal section. So we're going to increase the plane where it's cutting from to 1.8. So it will cut from a higher plane. We're going to click apply, and now as you can see, it's now visible. So we're going to go back to this view to start adding some munions to this fenestration here. So we're going to go to cutting grid. We're going to add a central one for both of them. Then we're going to draw add one at this lintel level, add another one here. So the lintel level munions will be uniformed to some extent. We're going to do the same. We're going to add one here, add another one here, add one in the middle here, add another one here, add one in the middle here as well. So now we're just going to go to munions now, and we're going to go to munions, and we're going to go to all grid, do the same for here, and do the same for here. So now we're going to be adding the openable ones. So I'm just going to be clicking tab. We're going to click tab here too. We're going to click tab here too, and select this. Select this. We're going to unpin them, and we're going to change them. So now we've changed them. You're going to see now there are openable windows in the curtain wall panels. So you can see how versatile I'm working with these curtain walls. So I'm going to be doing the same for this. I'm going to be tabbing this. I'm going to be doing this here, and doing this here as well. So I'm just going to be changing it, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to unpin them first, then I'm going to change them to windows. So as you can see, we are making the same progress. We're going to go back to DPC. Now we're going to start adding fenestration here. But instead of adding a totally new fenestration, just for scheduling reasons in future, I could just click on this one and just copy it. Let me just copy it out, and I'm copy it and place here first. So I'm just going to start drawing some reference lines to get a good central point. So this is 3.6. So this is 2.1, I think. Okay, this is 2.3, weirdly. I thought I made it 2.4. Okay, this is 2.4. So it's meant to be 2.4. So 3.6 I think 3.9 minus 2.4. Okay, 3.6 minus 2.4. That is 1.2 meters. So I'm going to be drawing 600 from here, 600 from here. So that is the appropriate. So I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to rotate it at 90 degrees. Then I'm going to click on this, click on move to, click on the central point and drag it to this position here. So once you see this here, I'm just going to change the direction of these curtain wall panels, and I'm just going to go to 3D view. So as you can see, what I'll just need to do is to click here and simply click copy. Then I'm going to paste it, assign to selected levels, and post first floor. So as you can see, this is coming out well. I could also go further by changing the type of wall here. I'm going to change this to brick wall just to add more material character. So I'm just going to change this to brick wall, so you see consistency around. So as you can see, our design is getting there step by step. So I also want to do some character here, some facade character here, just to give some more character to this place, and so everything will be looking very interesting. So what I'm going to do on that is I'm going to go to this wall here. I'm going to go to paint floor. So on this paint floor, I'm going to draw a wall here, architecture wall. Then instead of cutting wall, I'm going to select this as wall 75. So I'm going to set the base offset of this to -450, so it will be consistent with what we did before. The constraint is lintel 3 -2250. Then I'm just going to draw wall lines. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to change this from wall center line to wall face, finish face exterior. Then I'm just going to see if I can drag this. Okay, this is an issue. I think instead of this, I'm meant to use 1950. Then I'm just going to drag this wall, and I'm going to drag it to this point. So this has given me provision to make a ornamental designs on a higher plane of extrusion, or a higher plane here. So I'm going to go back to this paint floor, and I'm just going to try and flush this wall with this wall I just created, so it will form a consistent unit. So now we are just going to do some wall work here. All right, now, so before doing this, we are just going to add some fenestrations to this stairway. So we're going to go to DPC again, and we're going to start drawing long, narrow fenestrations in the stairway area. So I'm going to just use detail line to offset 600 from here, for the sake of facade character. And I'm also going to do this and offset 600 from here. So now I'm just going to click on architecture. I'm going to click on walls. Then I'm going to change this to curtain walls. So now I've changed this to curtain walls. I'm going to click on offset, and I'm going to offset 300 from the ground DPC. I'm going to set the constraints appropriately. I'm going to set it to ceiling level. I'm going to make this 0. So now I'm just going to make this 450. Let's just make it 450 and place it. Then I'm going to go to 3D view, and as you can see, this is coming out. Since this is primarily for lighting, I'm just going to add some munions. I'm going to add grids and just add this. So I'm going to go back to DPC, and I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to copy it and duplicate it into 2. Or if you want, you could make it 3, but I don't think 3 is necessary. I think 2 is just enough. So now we can add some facade design characters on top. So I'm going to go to this pen floor again to complete what I wanted to do initially. I'm going to go to walls. Under this wall, I'm now going to select our 75mm thick wall for some facade character. So I'm just going to click on -450 to I'm going to make the base offset -450. I'm going to change the top constraint to ceiling level. So I'm just going to, or rather I'm going to change it to roof level. Finish face exterior, I'm going to change the location line to finish face exterior. Then I'm just going to draw the profile. So now you can see as the wall is coming out, but I still want it to kind of flush with this. So I'm going to still carry it further up, and I'm going to make it reach the parapet level. And of course, I'm going to make it consistent by adding a top offset of -450. So it will just go with this one. So now I'm going to go to this lintel, to this parapet level here. I'm going to click on this top. Then I'm going to use another wall element. I'm going to draw wall. So I'm going to start from, instead of pen floor, I'm going to click on ceiling. Under this ceiling, I'm going to click on remove this 0 to top constraint. So I'm going to click on ceiling to parapet level, or rather roof to parapet level. Then I'm just going to draw this profile here. So now I'm also going to click on this other parapet wall just to make sure that it flushes well with this smaller wall I did. And I'm also going to click on this wall and I'm going to add -450 on the top constraint just for it to flush well with this other wall. So as you can see, some characters are coming out now and it's looking good, but we could still go further. We could kind of bring out this balcony here. How are we going to do it? We're going to do it by changing the color and adding some more mass to it and maybe protruding it just a bit more. So we're going to select all these walls here and we're going to change it to dark walls. So we're going to select all of them and let's just change it to dark walls. So we're going to change it to darker colored walls. So now there are darker colored walls. What we can now do now is we can now go to the first floor. So under this first floor now, we are going to do something a bit interesting. As usual, we forgot to copy this munion, so we're just going to copy this window here, and we're just going to click on copy, and we're just going to copy this and place this here. So now we've done this, we're now going to go to this 3D view and we're going to see how we could walk around this facade character. So because of this window here, I want to create an effect here. So the effect I want to create is just a white patch in the middle of this extrusion. So I'm just going in the middle of this, around this window. So I'm just going to click on this and change it back to a white wall. Then I'm going to go back to first floor and I'm going to start doing some protrusion work now. So firstly, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy it out. So once I copy it out, I'll select this and I'll change it to a darker 75mm wall. And I'm just going to change this to finish face exterior and I'm just going to place this here. As usual, I'm going to drag this back. I'm going to change it to finish face exterior so the wall line will align properly with this, and I'm going to drag this wall out. I could use a line to help me get where I want it to be placed. So I'm just going to drag this and place this here. I'm going to drag this back. I'm going to drag this, place this here, drag this, place this here. So everything comes out well. So I'm also going to do something similar for this wall, but I'm going to push this back to this point here. Now I'm going to go to architecture again. I'm going to go to wall. Then instead of this 5mm white wall, I'm going to be using the darker version of it, and I'm going to change the top constraint to paint floor. Then under this paint floor, I'm just going to add 1.2 meter just to fill in the parapet part that it will have. So I'm just going to draw this from here, and I'm going to draw this from here too. So I'm going to go back to this and see what we've done. So now I'm going to select these two now, and I'm going to change their base offset to -450, so it will match with what we've done previously. And I'm also going to do something similar to this place now. So now I'm just going to go to this top view, and I'm going to click on this wall just to kind of remember the parameters I used for this. So this is -450 -900. So I've kept that in mind. So I'm just going to go to wall. I'm going to use this dark wall again. I'm going to set it from paint floor, the top constraint to lintel level 3, and I'm going to change the base level to paint floor. I'm going to do -450 and -1.2. So I'm just going to draw this wall here, and I'm going to draw it to this point. So now I can see that I didn't really get the parameters right, so I'm just going to click on this first and change it to -900. So as you can see, this is a lot of let me not use a lot of, but this is some mass work here, so it's just what comes with adding a lot of levels, so you could get some things accurately. So I'm going to select this too. I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to reduce the length so I'll be able to place it here. So I'm just going to select this, I'm going to move this, and I'm going to place it here. So now I'm just going to extend this to this point, so you can now see the kind of thing we want to create here. So I'm going to go to this first floor again, and I'm just going to go under walls here, and I'm just going to do the same thing for here. Instead, I'm going to change this to -2250, and I'm going to draw a wall underneath here. So we're going to go back to 3D view, and we're going to see the effect we wanted to create. So this is the effect I wanted to create all along. So I think it's coming out nice. As you can see, the element, the massing is already coming out. Each facade element is distinct and very good. So we're going to go back to DPC, and we're going to add fenestrations for this other space here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this first floor, and we're going to see how we can just copy this and copy this to the ground floor, because one principle you should learn in facade design is you should always try as much as possible to align your fenestration. Even though they are on different planes, they should be aligned. It shows some level of organization. So I'm just going to click on copy to clipboard. I'm going to paste align to selected levels, paste at 0 to DPC. So now I'm going to go to DPC, and I'm going to click on this fenestration. Then I'm just going to click on copy again and copy it here. Then I'm going to click on delete to delete this. So now what I'm simply going to do for this now is I'm going to click on this, or I'm just going to simply draw a line first. I'm going to draw a line from here, this point, draw it over to this point now. Then I'm going to select these two fenestrations, and I'm just going to click mirror. Select the center of this line I drew, and I'm going to click it and draw mirror. So this will just mirror to this point. So now this has mirrored to this point. I could just go back to this 3D view, and I could just simply copy this one here and copy it to clipboard again, paste align to selected level, paste to first floor, and paste this here. So now in this first floor, we're going to go to first floor and see how it's coming out. So you can see obviously it's not on this plane. We could just shift this here. On normal circumstances, I will have left this fenestration to be here, but because I want to create a more functional space, I'm going to move it towards this door for the ventilation to be more effective. I'm going to move it by 900. Then I'm just going to try and see if I could flip it, mirror it by drawing an axis at 45 degrees and mirror it to this wall here. So we're just going to adjust this here and move this 1.2. we're going to move it by 900. And we're going to see if we could draw a line here from this point to this point and use it as a reference to mirror this. So we're going to mirror this, draw a line in the middle and mirror this here. We're also going to delete this line and we're going to do the same by drawing another line here. So we'll be able to mirror these two windows to this other room. So I'm just going to do the same for these 3 fenestrations. 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to click on this mirror and I'm going to draw an axis on this center line. So I think everything just mirrored almost perfectly. We could do the same for this. And mirror this. Try to find this center point and mirror this. So as you can see, this one went off a bit, so we could just click on move tool to adjust it. And we're going to adjust it to this center line. Alright, so we could see that we have mirrored this successfully, and we could see how this facade, we are now on easy mode now. We are just mirroring and copying things. So let's just go back to our 3D and see how the facade is coming out. So as you can see, we are getting somewhere. We are making some progress. We are about to round up the fenestration aspect of this facade and the facade design. So we're also going to just do the same and copy these fenestrations that are similar here. Copy this one here. Copy this and simply click copy to clipboard, and we're going to paste on the paint floor. The only issue is that the paint floor has a lower lintel, so we're going to adjust it to fit. We're going to click on this, we're going to click on this, and we're going to change this lintel. We're going to remove this offset of 300 to 0. We're also going to do the same for this, and we're going to remove it to 0. So we're going to change this base offset. Since we removed some height, we're going to also remove some depth. We're going to change this to 600, not 600, 900. So we're going to adjust this grid. We're going to tap and we're going to change this to 900. We're going to also tap and change this grid to 900 so it will be centralized. So as you can see the uniformity. At the same time is complex and there is a lot of things to read in this facade design. So now we are going to work some more on this aspect now. For this one, we don't need to do too much. We could just mirror a few things, and I think that is all. So we're just going to select this element here. So we're just going to mirror at least this aspect to this view. Once we have selected all these facade proposed walls, we are going to go back to first floor. Then we are going to try and mirror it using our same central reference here and mirroring this. But this central reference, I don't know why it's not working well, but there's no problem. We're just going to adjust this and place it here. So now we're just going to align this to this position here, and we're going to bring this here. We're also going to select this and bring it here. We're going to use annotate. We're going to use detail line. We're just going to bring it to this point. So we're going to select this and drag it here. Let's just find a way to override this and just place this here. So now we're going to go back to 3D view, and we're going to see what we are doing. So I think so far we have done an awesome work. So we still need to add some fenestrations to these rooms here, or rather the spaces here. So I think this is a bedroom, so there's no issue in me just copying these 2 fenestrations here and going to copy to clipboard, paste, align to selected level, align to DPC, and do this. So the same, we have an issue here. We will need to offset a beam here. So we're going to go back to first floor. So in this first floor, we're just going to use modify. We're going to click on this split element. We're going to split it here and split it here. Then we're going to click on this wall here and we're going to change it to minus 450. So after changing this to minus 450, I think we could just select this curtain wall we use for this family lounge, copy this and place it here. So now we're just going to click on this and we're going to click on rotate and we're going to change it to 90. Then we're going to try and place it at the center point, which I think is 300 millimeters from the edge. And we're just going to draw this here. So we're going to move this edge and we're just going to move it to this point, centralizing the fenestration for this lobby. Alright, so now we've placed this fenestration. I just forgot we could just add okay, let's save this project now. It has given us warning 2 times and I ignored it 2 times, so let me just save it now. So I'm just going to draw a line here showing that we're actually cutting. This is a void, this is a duct. So we are going to go back to this facade character now and we're going to see. So I think the last part of fenestration will be this paint floor, even though we have added fenestration to most parts, and this kitchen here. So for the kitchen, the fenestrations in the kitchen will be a bit different. Let me go back to DPC. The fenestration in the kitchen will be bigger and their seal height to be higher. So we're just going to click on this and we're going to click on copy. So once we copy this, we're going to start modifying it. I'm going to increase the base offset to 1000 and I'm going to delete this. So I'm now going to change the width of this to 1.5. So now it's 1.5. I'll now share these munions into 500. The spacing will be 500 millimeter each. So now I've adjusted this. I'm just going to draw some reference lines for this. I'm going to draw offset 600 from here. I'm also going to offset 600 from here. So the kitchen we are creating will be well fenestrated. So I'm just going to move this and place this here. Then I'm going to click on copy and I'm going to copy this. Now I'm just going to click on this window and I'm going to mirror it at 45 degrees to just align itself to this wall perpendicularly. So I'm just going to click on align and I'm going to put some dimensions here. So I'm just doing this to centralize this whole curtain wall. So I'm just going to change this to 1.2 or let's use 1.5. So I think I've centralized this. So I'm just still going to copy a fenestration for this laundry here. So firstly, I'm going to move this door here and I'm going to push this door to this end. Then I'm just going to copy this fenestration. I'm going to click on copy and I'm going to place it here. So now I've placed it here. I think I've fenestrated all the spaces. DPC, first floor and paint floor. So now we are going to go back to first floor. We want to fenestrate this one here, this space in the paint floor. This, will I call it foyer? So I'm just going to copy this fenestration. I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. I'm going to paste align to selected views. I'm going to click on paint floor. So we're just going to move this here and we're going to move this. So because this is on the paint floor, I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to make the base offset very high at 1 meters. I'm going to delete elements, and so I think we are almost there. I'm also going to use detail line to indicate that this is a wardrobe. So as you can see, this is a balcony. This room is well fenestrated and the design is looking good. So we're going to go to our 3D view and see what we've done so far. So the next aspect we're going to be entering is we're going to be creating the ceilings. We're going to be doing some fine-tuning works and some extrusions just to fine-tune it. We're going to be doing some cladding panels on which we're going to be using for the facade. Then after that, we are now going to go to furnitures and presentations. So now we are just going to adjust some materials or change some walls. Then we're going to go into the modeling. We're going to be using model in place to work on the ceiling and do some panel touches on this facade. So firstly, we're going to be starting with this parapet. Because I want to create alternation of character like in the colors, I'm just going to change this to a dark wall. Okay, so after I've changed this to a dark wall, I'm going to go to these walls here. So I'm going to be going for each floor, and I'm going to be splitting this wall at this junction here, so I'll be able to change the wall type from this junction upwards to this point. So I'm going to go into modify. I'm going to split. I'm going to split this way. I'm going to go to first floor. I'm going to do the same, split here. Okay, I don't even need to split here, I just need to split this point here. So I'm going to be going to 10th floor, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm just going to split here, modify, and I'm going to click on split. So I'm going to split this here. So now I'm going to go back to this view, and I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to click on this wall as well. I'm going to try and select this wall. Let me hold on, click tab. Okay, that was, I overdid it. I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on this as well. I'm going to click on this wall too. I'm going to click on this wall. I'm going to click on this wall. So I'm also going to click on, okay, let me not click on this wall. Then I'm just going to select these walls, and I'm going to change, okay, because this wall is narrower, I'm going to change these walls to brick walls. So we're going to see how it comes out. So as you can see, this color actually balances it out, because there's black here, there's black here, there's white here, there's white here. So it's just an interplay of colors and materials. So I think I'm going to leave this as white, or I'm just going to go over here, and I'm still going to split this element. I'm going to click on modify. I'm just going to split this at this point. Then I'm also going to change this to brick walls. So I'm going to be clicking brick wall. So now I've done this, I think we are done with the materials. I think I've assigned the wall colors appropriately. So now I'm going to be doing some model in place. So I'm going to go to architecture. Under this architecture tab, I'm going to be going to model in place. Model in place, I'm going to be using caseworks. So for this caseworks, I'm going to click OK. I'm not going to click sweep. This sweep, I'm going to click on sketch path. Under the sketch path, I'm now going to click on select set. I'm going to set the level where I want to sketch the path on. I'm going to click set work plane. So under this set work plane, I'm just going to set it at let me use parapet level. So now at this parapet level, I'm now going to use these two pick lines, and I'm just going to pick this edge. I'm going to pick this edge. So I'm also going to just go to top view and extend this. I extend this here, and I'm going to extend this here. So now I've done this, I'm going to click on good, and I'm then going to go to this right view. I'm now going to edit the profile, and I'm going to be drawing a coping around this wall. I'm going to be extending it at 25 here. Then I'm going to be drawing this. I'm going to extend this at 100. Then I'm going to draw this at 100, 125 too. I'm going to be extending this at 50. Then I'm going to be drawing a diagonal line till it meets this projection here. Then I'm going to, of course, I'm going to change the material to plaster, to a material I named plaster. So I'm just going to like plaster to look for it. So I'll get a good white gypsum copy with stucco paint on top. I'm just going to apply the material. Yeah, white plaster. Then I'm going to click OK. So I'm going to click on finish. I'm going to click on finish now. So now I've done this, I'm also going to just copy this and replicate it for these other copying levels. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on duplicate. That is, I'm going to use this copy tool, and I'm going to copy this here. So now I've copied this here. I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to click on edit sweep. And I'm going to edit sketch path, and I'm now going to set the plane. Instead of setting the plane, I'm going to say pick work plane. And I'm going to pick directly on top of these walls as the work plane. Then I'm just going to adjust this adjust the profile, the sketch profile. I'm going to draw this here. I'm also going to push this here as well, and I'm going to draw this to this point. Now I'm going to draw another line from the edge of this parapet wall to this point. So I'm just going to click finish. So now, as you can see, we are making some nice progress. We are just going to click on this again, and we're going to copy this. After copying this, we are going to now click on pick path, edit sweep, sketch path. We're just going to align this to here, align this to this point, make sure that this line reaches this end, delete this line, copy this and adjust this here, and we're going to click finish. So as you can see, we are done with the copy here, and we could also do some copying here, but I don't think it's really necessary. Or let's just do it. We're going to do a copying, but it will be a different profile, because it won't be appropriate that a parapet wall doesn't have a copy. So we're going to copy this. So what we're going to do is we're going to, of course, edit sweep. We're going to click on set work plane, pick a plane, and we're going to pick on top of this lower parapet wall. We're going to set it. Then we're going to click finish. We're going to click on edit sweep, edit path, set a work plane, pick a plane, and we're going to pick this one. So now we've picked it, we're going to click finish, and we're going to edit this sketch. So we're just going to try as much as possible to make sure that this sketch aligns with what we are seeing, or the parapet wall that is given to us. So I think we're going to stop this here. So I'm just going to click finish. So now, instead of this, we're going to adjust this a bit. We're going to edit this sweep, and we're going to edit this sketch. So we're going to be ending the sketch somewhere here, and we're going to click finish. So we're going to adjust the profile of this sweep now. We're going to select profile, edit profile. So now we're in this we're in the platform to edit this profile. We're just going to delete this one, reduce the size of this to about 25. Also reduce the projection of this to about 25. Then we're going to bevel it, and we're going to click on finish. So now we've done this, I think we could just now copy this profile, this scoping, and copy it to this other profile here, this other parapet wall. So let's copy it, edit sweep, pick part, delete this, and just simply place our part here. And we're going to draw this here, and we're going to just click finish. We're going to go to this sweep, and we're going to go to this view here. We're going to click on edit profile. We're going to highlight the profile. We're going to mirror it, Ctrl Z, highlight the profile again, mirror it, uncheck this copy, then adjust it and move it just a bit. Adjust this here as well. So we're going to click finish. So now I think we're done with the copying. So now we're going to be creating some metallic or some aluminium panels here for wood look-alike aluminium panels. So to do that, we're going to be going to the first floor, and we're going to go and use extrusion, architecture, components, model in place, and we're going to use casework, and we're going to use extrusion. Click on extrude. Okay. So now under this extrusion, we're going to just click extrusion. So under model in place, we're going to click extrusion. Of course, we're going to set the plane, work plane, to be first floor. Then we're going to change the material. So we are going to select the material for the wood lookalike panel. So we're just going to type wood to see if we have any already existing material that can be used for this. So I'm just going to click on wood 1 and I'm going to click OK. So now we've selected the material. We are going to change the extrusion parameters and we're going to adjust this extrusion end to be, let's start from 3.6. So now we are just going to start drawing the profile. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a box. So this box will start from, will project at 50 millimeters and will be wide at 75 millimeters. And the spacing in between will be 50 millimeters. Okay, so now we're now going to offset 5 millimeters. And the offset, the value in the offset will be 5. And we're going to uncheck this copy first. So we're going to move this. So we're just going to check this copy and start copying this at 5 millimeters and 5. So we're going to trim this. So what we're going to do, we're going to use this filter arc and we're just going to place this here and we're going to place it at 5. We're going to do this and make it 5. So now we're now going to adjust this. We're going to change this from 50 to 45. We're also going to change this and adjust it to this place. So we could just select everything and we could copy it at repetitions. Select all of this, copy it again at repetitions. So now we could just delete this here, and we could simply select this whole thing and we could just mirror it at this 45 degrees and mirror it here. Ctrl Z, mirror it, check this copy, this time check this copy and mirror it at 45 degrees. So yeah, we're just going to trim this together. So we're just going to continue copying this repetitions. We're going to select this and we're going to copy this. We're going to copy this here and we're going to copy this here. We're also going to copy this to this point here. Alright, so now we're just going to delete all this, or delete to this point. We're going to delete this and we're just going to trim this. We're also going to create a line and trim this. So now we could just select this last profile and we could just adjust it to flush in with this wall here. Then we'll just trim this as well. So now we're going to click finish. So as you can see, these are wood trellis, but it's actually too much, so I'm going to reduce it to 3.3. So now it's 3.3. We're now going to use some void because there are some windows here and we don't want this to cover these windows. So what we are going to do is we're going to use some void extrusions. So we're going to go to create, we're going to go to void forms, we're going to create a void extrusion. So under this void, we're now going to set a plane and pick a work plane, and we're going to pick this. So we're going to try to select one of these planes here, even though it's difficult, but we could just click on escape first, try to adjust this here so we could see the planes. We could now select and pick a plane. So we could just select maybe this plane here and select this. So now we've selected one of these planes. We're now going to draw the profile to match the profile of this window. Or rather, if you remembered, this window is actually a replica of this window here. So we're just going to draw this profile and we're just going to see if we could just move this profile and use this slab as a reference. Then move it and move it to this first floor, which I think aligned accurately. So we're going to select this and use this as a reference too, and move this from here to here. So okay, copy it, sorry. Click on copy it from here to here. So it will be two profiles. But because I don't want there to be any conflict between the trellis and the window openings, so it will not be looking weird, I'm going to offset it by 100. And I'm going to check this. I'm just going to check this offset, uncheck this copy, and I'm going to click tab to offset all the profile tab here, and I'm going to click on I'm going to edit the void extrusion parameters to just be 100. So I'm going to click finish. So as you can see, the void has cut through it. So I'm just going to click finish model. So I'm going to click on save project. Alright, so now I've done this for this floor, I'm just going to click on this, and I'm going to click on copy to clipboard. I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to align to selected levels. I'm going to paste it on paint floor. So now I've pasted it on paint floor, but because the paint floor level is a bit different from this first floor level, some parameters don't just fit in well. So I'm going to click on edit in place to edit it. First of all, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to change it from 3.3 to 3 meters. So after doing that, I'm going to click on this void, and I'm going to edit this extrusion, and I'm going to just highlight this and move it down by 300. So I'm just going to trim this to fit. Alright, so I'm going to click finish and click finish there. So now I'm just going to click on extrusion here, because I want to put some extrusion to kind of hood these windows or these openings. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to component, I'm going to go to model in place, I'm going to go to extrusion, casework, then casework 4, and I'm going to go to extrusion. Then I'm going to set, and I'm going to set the work plane, and I'm going to pick a plane, and I'm going to pick this wall. So now I've picked this wall, I'm just going to be sketching my extrusion. So I'm just going to be using this. Since this wall and this wall are on the same plane, I could just draw the profile for both of them. Just going to select this, select this as well. Also going to select this, select this, select this. I'm going to do the same for this. Also going to do the same for this. After doing this, I'm going to make the extrusion end at 75. Then I'm going to assign a material to it. So I'm going to use the usual plaster, white plaster, sorry. I'm going to wait for Revit to locate it. Okay, so now it has loaded. I'm just going to look for the plaster material. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click finish. So after doing this, I'm going to click finish here. So now the next aspect we are going to work on is the ceiling works in terms of the embellishment. So for the ceiling, I'm going to go to architecture, components, model in place. Instead of using casework, I'm going to look for ceiling, and I'm just going to click ceiling, and I'm going to click OK. So okay, in this ceiling work, I'm going to create the ceilings, and I'm also going to make provision for LED lights. So I'm going to start from here, extrusion, and I'm going to be using the bottom of these beams or these drop down beams as a reference point. So I'm going to start from select plane, pick work plane, and I'm just going to pick this. So now I'm going to start by imputing the parameters of this extrusion. I'm going to put it as -15 because my ceiling is 15mm thick, and I'm also going to change the material to ceiling white. So I'm going to use ceiling. So I'm just going to use this ceiling white material as my material for ceiling. So after using it, I'm going to start picking the profiles of the balconies or the places where ceiling will be needed. So I'm going to start from this one. I'm going to pick here. I could even go back to the ground floor DPC to mark out where I want to use very well. So I'm just going to be drawing out this profile. So now I'm going to be making provisions for LED lights. So I'm going to be offsetting 150 millimeter. I'm going to offset it here. Okay, not here. I'm going to offset it. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to offset it here, and offset it here. Then I'm just going to trim this once again. So after trimming this, I'm going to click on offset again and offset it 15 millimeters. So I'm going to click offset. Then I'm just going to make perforations here. I'm going to split this and trim this. I'm also going to trim this as well. So after that, I'm just going to click finish. So now I'm going to go to this view now, and I'm going to start copying this ceiling works around. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on bottom view, and I'm going to click on copy. I'm also going to click on this, and I'm going to click on edit work plane, pick work plane, and I'm going to also going to pick this. And I'm now going to edit this profile to fit into this. Delete this and just fix this here. Alright, so now this is actually conflicting, so I'm going to make this, instead of -15, I'm going to make this 15, so it will actually pop out. So I'm also going to do the same for this upper ceiling here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to place this here. So once I'm placing this, I'm just going to edit work plane, pick new plane, or not pick new, escape. I'm going to click this, edit work plane. I'm going to click pick a new plane, and I'm going to pick this. So after picking this, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on edit extrusion. So I'm going to go to the first floor, and I'm going to just be drawing this ceiling in accordance to this profile. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click on this and draw this. So I'm just going to draw this to this point, and I'm going to draw this to this point. I'm also going to make at least my usual offset of 150 and create provisions for LED lights. Offset 150, offset 150, offset 150, offset 50, again 50. Then I'm just going to trim this. And trim this as well. Then I'm going to split here. I'm going to split here, and I'm going to trim this. Then click on finish. Okay, so apparently I was even doing stuff on a longer plane, so I'm just going to edit this, edit extrusion. So I'm just going to adjust this to fit into what is actually needed. So I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to click move. So I'm just going to drag this down to this point. I'm also going to drag this down to this point. And I'm going to draw another line. So I'm just going to use trim to actually trim this together and blend them all together. So now I've done this, I'm just going to click finish. So now you can see we're making progress. I also want to make note, we could also click on this and edit it. Since these two levels are on the same plane, we could just click on edit extrusion and let this ceiling serve for this one. And we're just going to click use this, and we're going to do the same for this too. I'm going to click finish. So now concerning this level, we're going to use this as well to for this other ceilings. So we're going to click edit extrusion. We're going to go to first floor and we're going to be filling up these other ceilings here. So now we are done with this ceiling on the outs. Okay, we are not done. So we're still going to put some ceiling on this paint floor. So this paint floor is kind of going to be a bit complex because I'm still going to do some work here. All right, so we're just going to go along with creating openings here. Sorry, creating the ceiling. I'm just going to copy this one as well and place it. So we're going to click on this. We're going to click on edit work plane and we're going to pick work plane. So we're just going to pick this now. So now we're going to click and edit extrusion. So now we're just going to delete this first and we're going to pick parts and pick the rims of this ceiling. Pick here as well. Let's just go to paint floor. Now we're in paint floor. We could now start drawing the ceiling profile well. And we could just draw this well and bevel this here. And we could also draw this and do this here. So now we are also going to make provisions for LED lights, but I'm actually having a double mind on this because I want to make some perforations here for trellis and see how it will go. But since this place is very open, okay, I think I can do it. So instead of creating LED lights here, I'm going to make perforations for light trellis over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some openings. I'm going to offset 300. I'm going to change this offset to 300. And I'm going to offset 300 from here. Offset 300, offset 300. I'm also going to offset 300, uncheck copy, offset this to 300. Then I'm going to trim this all together. So now I've done this, I'm going to select this and I'm just going to copy it at repetitions. Copy this, copy this, copy this, copy this, copy this here, copy this. Okay, so now we've done this, I'm going to click finish. So now instead of creating some LED lights, we're actually going to create some nice trellis lighting, which will still make much sense. So we are still going to copy this ceiling again. We're going to copy it finally to, I think, this part and that other part for the ceiling. So I'm just going to click copy, copy this. We're going to click this, click on edit work plane. We're going to pick a new work plane and we're going to pick this. Then we're just going to edit the profile, edit extrusion. So we're just going to edit this and pick this. We're going to pick here, pick here, pick here, and pick here. Then we're just going to trim it all together. So now we're just going to click finish. All right, so now we're also going to copy this to this point here. We're going to click on this and copy this here. Then we're going to escape. We're going to click on this and we're going to pick a new pick, edit workplace, pick plane. We're going to pick this here and we're going to click extrude, edit extrusion. So we're now going to draw this profile. I'm just going to select this. Select this as well. Then we're just going to trim this. So if you are wondering why I'm working this much on this ceiling details, is because when I now carry it to a rendering software, you are going to see how refined it will look if all the ceilings are modeled appropriately. So I'm going to click finish. So since I created a trellis here, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on edit in place to edit this roof deck. So I'm just going to match the profile with the profile of this trellis. Ctrl C, match this profile. Then I'm just going to select and copy it accordingly. And click finish. Don't attach. So also I'm going to model, because this is kind of looking not refined, so I'm going to model a casing, and I'm also going to model the frosted glass that will be on top of the casing. So I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to components, I'm going to go to model in place, I'm going to go to casework, I'm going to click on OK. So I'm going to click on sweep, I'm going to click on sketch, I'm going to click on set, I'm going to click on set work plane to pick part. I'm going to pick work plane and pick this slab. Then I'm simply going to pick the axis of this one spacing, and I'm going to click on this. Then I'm going to click finish. Then now I'm just going to click on edit profile. Then I'm just simply going to draw the depth of this and offset it at 50 millimeters and draw this too. So I'm just going to name this trellis casing, or let me look for if I have a trellis material. So let me just use 01. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to change it to trellis casing, and I'm going to change it to add a metallic material to its appearance. And I'm going to go, let me just go to wall paint and leave it as cool white. I'm just going to leave it as pure white. Then I'm going to click OK. So now I've done that, I'm just going to click finish and click finish. So now I'm just going to also add an extrusion. I'm going to go to create, I'm going to create extrusion, and I'm going to set the plane of this extrusion, pick a plane, I'm going to pick it to be this. Then I'm just going to select the rims of this casing. Then I'm going to put the parameter of this extrusion to, I'm going to leave it as -15, and I'm going to change the material and change the material to be frosted glass. Okay, so now I've seen the frosted glass, I'm just going to select it and I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click, wait for it to load. Then I'm going to click finish, and I'm going to click finish model. So now this model is finished. I could just click on this, I could go to this top view, and I could just simply copy it and place it accordingly. So our model will look as refined as possible. So now I'm also going to be creating the profile. I'm going to be creating the LED lights, because I think I forgot to do that while creating the ceiling. So I'm just going to click on this ceiling, I'm going to click on edit in model in place, then I'm going to click on create, and I'm going to click on extrusion. Then I'm just going to set this and set work plane. I'm going to set work plane to be on the ceiling. So under this ceiling, I'm just going to click the pick line tool, and I'm going to just mark out the spacing I made for the luminous material or the LED light. So for this LED light, I'm just going to make a simple extrusion, but I'm going to apply a separate material called, and I'm going to name the material luminous material. So when I'm using it in a rendering software, I'll just be easily able to change the nature of the material to make it luminous. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to use some luminous materials I've used before. They are not actually luminous, but in the context of using a rendering software, you could make them luminous. So let me just use this luminous gold and use this as the material. Then I'm also going to make the thing a bit protruded inside the ceiling. So I'm going to add -5 as the extrusion starts. And I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to click on copy. So I'll copy it to this other plane. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on edit extrusion, and I'm going to set the plane. I'm going to set the plane and pick work plane. I'm going to pick this ceiling. So I'm just going to delete this profile, and I'm going to pick this, and I'm going to pick this profile, pick this, pick this, pick this, pick this, and pick this. So now I'm just going to do this and bevel this here. I'm also going to do this and bevel this here. So this will form one unit, and I'm just going to click finish. I'm going to click finish model. So as you can see, we have actually done a very beautiful work. and we have added the luminous, we have worked on the ceiling. So the next aspect I'm going to be working on is the presentation. So I'm going to be going to the floor plans, I'm going to be assigning the name of the spaces, and I'm now going to be adding furnitures to them and making them presentable. So we're going to go to the DPC. Of course, we're just going to adjust this to flush in well, so it won't be looking weird. So let's just delete this line. So now we've done this, we're going to start with the presentation format and all the annotations. All right, so now I'm going to start the presentation floor plans. So now, firstly, I'm going to go to architecture and I'm going to align the grids, draw out the grids. So I'm just going to save the project. All right, so I'm just going to draw out the grids and start from the exterior wall and start placing them. I'm going to start from the exterior wall to place it all the walls. So I don't like this grid, so I'm just going to change the grid heads and I'm going to use a smaller grid and look for a grid option that is smaller. So I'm going to use this 6.5mm bubble and I'm going to use this for all the grids. So I'm just going to go to grid. I'm going to make sure I set at this 6.5mm bubble, and I'm just going to be drawing these grids at integral points to bring them out. I'm going to draw one more here, and I'm going to draw one more here. So now, before drawing the horizontal grids, I'm going to align these grids well. I'm going to adjust this and make sure all of them are aligned 1 2 3 4 5 6. So now I'm also going to be drawing the horizontal grids from top to bottom. I'm going to draw this here. I'm going to change this to A, and I'm also going to draw this second one and start placing them horizontally. So I'm going to draw this one here, and so now I'm going to be adjusting these horizontal grids, and I'm going to try to align all of them so they will look very presentable. I'm also going to align these ones and make sure none of them are interjecting. Alright, so after aligning these grids, I'm just going to select one of them. I'm going to override graphics in view. I'm going to right click, override graphics in view by category. Then I'm just going to halftone everything. Then once I do this, the next aspect I'm going to is I'm going to be annotating the rooms. So, but before I start annotating the rooms, I'm going to use room separators to separate the spaces that I didn't use walls to separate, that are individual independent spaces. Like for instance, this dining here, I'm going to use this room separation line to separate it, despite the fact that walls are not there. So I'm just going to do this first for here. I'm also going to use it here, that I didn't use wall here, and I'm also going to use it here. And finally, I'm going to use it on this staircase, and I'm going to use it from here. I'm going to try and use it, align it to this wall and use it from here. So I'm just going to drag it to this point. So now we've placed the room separators. I'm just going to select one of them. I'm just going to use hide in view by category. So I'm going to hide all the room separator lines. So now I'm just going to go to annotate, and I'm going to use the detail line, and I'm going to change it from 10 line to, I'm going to use overhead lines. So in these overhead lines, I'm just going to draw the overhead beams that will be placed here. I'm also going to draw it for this place too. I'm going to draw this for this staircase too. And finally, I'm going to draw one here, and I'm going to draw another one here. So now I'm still going to do some other line works. I'm going to go to detail line. I'm going to change this from overhead to thin lines. So in these thin lines, I'm just going to indicate the wardrobe, and I'm going to make it at 1.8. Going to project it at 600 millimeters. Okay, it means I'm going to adjust this window, and I'm just going to draw a line, and I'm going to do the same for this room as well. Do this, project it at 1.8. I'm going to project it at 600. Then I'm just going to draw a line on this bedroom. So now I'm just going to move this fenestration. I'm going to move this window by 300 so it won't be obstructing this wardrobe. I'm also going to do the same for this. So now I'm going to delete this line here. Alright, so now after doing this, I'm now going to go back to architecture, and I'm going to go to rooms. So I'm going to be placing some rooms, and I'm going to, before placing these rooms inside these spaces, I'm going to edit some things in this properties panel. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say room tag with area, adjust limit. So now I've created these rooms. I'm going to start from setting the limits of this room. So I'm going to set it the upper limit, similar to creating floors and other aspects in Revit. I'm going to set the upper limit as first floor. Then I'm going to remove this upper limit offset, so there will be no discrepancies. So I'm just going to click adjust limit, and I think everything is set. So now this is an individual space. I'm now going to place it. So now I'm going to go to architecture, and I'm going to go to tag room, and I'm going to tag this room now. So now this is the tag. This is showing the room name, this is showing the tag number, and this is showing the area. But I want to edit this room tag, so I'm just going to select it, and I'm going to click on edit family. So under this edit family, firstly I'm going to delete this. I don't need this. I'm going to change this room name. I'm going to edit the parameters of this text. I'm going to edit. To do that, I'm going to click or simply go to this properties panel, click on edit type. Then once I click on edit type, I'm going to change the text format to Beber's Newer. After I've changed it, I'm going to change the text size to 2.5. So now I've done that, I'm just going to click OK. So once I've clicked OK, I'm going to select this volume, and I'm just going to delete it. I don't need the volume. So I'm just going to bring up this area to this place now. So now I've brought this. Now I'm going to click on this area, and I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to click on duplicate to duplicate this text. Now I've duplicated it. I'm now going to change the text size of this area to 1.5. Then I'm going to change the color to red. Then I'm going to click on this and click OK. Then I'm going to apply. Click OK. So now I'm just going to click on load into project. I'm going to load it into the Revit full course project, our project we are working on. Then I'm going to, do you want to save changes to a room? I'm going to say no. And I'm going to override the existing version and its parameters. What we're going to do, we're going to edit this family again. Alright, so we're just going to go to view, we're going to go to visibility graphics, we're going to go to annotation categories, and we're just going to click show annotation categories in this view and click OK. So now that you have clicked on this, you are going to see this line here. We're just going to click on this and click tab and delete all these lines. Then we're going to try and select these two text at the same time. We're going to, okay, let's try and select it this way. Then we're just going to try and adjust them and centralize it. So now we're just going to click on load, OK, no, and we're going to click on override graphics in view. So now we have successfully edited this room tag, and we're just going to use it for the other spaces. So we're going to go to architecture again, we're going to go to room, and we're going to start placing rooms. Going to place one here, place a room, 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 place, 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 place. So we're still going to go to architecture, we're going to go to tag rooms, tag with room and area, and we're just going to tag these rooms. Alright, so now we've tagged the rooms. We're just going to start renaming them. To rename them, we're just going to double click on it, and let's say we're naming this one living room. Alright, so now we've finished annotating the spaces. We're going to start adding some furnitures. So we're going to go to components, and we're going to be using the furnitures we loaded in from that other project. So we're going to start from this by placing the rug in the living area. After doing that, we're going to place some more components like the chairs and every other component in the project. We're going to go to components. We're going to start loading in chairs. Okay, so now we're going to be using some chairs, and we're going to be placing some. We're going to place this one over here. We're going to place this over here. Then we're going to add some. Let's use this entertainment or this TV station. We're going to place this here. We're also going to place this here, and we're going to add some other components too. We're going to add this. We're going to create a bedroom unit. We're going to be needing this central chair. I can use this WC. Can place this WC at intervals. Place this WC here. Place this WC here. So we are just going to furnish the whole project. So we're going to be placing. Okay, we are not yet going to be placing sink. We're going to be placing some toilet sinks. Going to be placing one here. We're supposed to place one at this lobby, but guessing it to be too tight, so we're going to use a smaller sink. We're going to be placing one here too. Supposed to place this one here. We're going to delete it from here. We're going to go to components, and we're going to place more components. We're going to place this dining seat. We're going to place it here. We're going to go to model in place, architecture, components, model in place, and we're going to create a cabinet for this kitchen. We're going to use casework as usual. So we're going to click extrusion, and we're just going to draw our kitchen worktop. Going to make this 3.3. Going to draw this to this end. Make this 3.3, and we're going to offset 600. Then we're going to copy it. So we're just going to fill in this line here, fill this up here, and we're going to trim this. So after trimming this, we're then going to edit the parameters. We're going to change this start to 0, and we're going to change the extrusion end to 900. Then we're going to change this material to kitchen worktop. Alright, so we're just going to select this kitchen cabinet material, and we're going to be using it. So now we've placed this. We can now go back to architecture, and we could continue loading our scene with components, our floor plan with components. We could go back to this rug because we need this rug. So we could edit the size of this rug and change it to 1.5 by 2.1 just to fit into the size of these bedrooms. Just place this here. Then we could go and place other components like the showers. We could place the shower here. Could place another shower here for this convenience. We're also going to go here, and we're going to place some kitchen. We're going to place this kitchen, this gas cooker. We're going to place it in between the sinks. So we're also going to place this kitchen sink, and we're going to offset it at 750 so it will be visible. We're going to place it here. So we're just going to adjust this cabinet so it will not be overlapping the gas cooker. So we're just going to place this line here. Going to place this line here, and we're going to just split it and trim it. So we're going to click finish and finish. So we're going to go back to architecture, components, and we're still going to be loading in some more components, so we'll be able to give as much information. So we're going to place this shower tray here because we have a shower. We're going to place a shower tray here, or rather we're just going to move it to the middle of this shower. We're also going to do the same for this position. For this convenience here, we're going to place a shower tray in the middle. So after that, we're going to go to components, and we're going to be looking for more components we can use. We're going to now bring in this bed. This is a 6 by 6 foot bed, I think. So we're just going to place it in this space, which it enters perfectly. Then we're just going to add more and see whichever component we could add. So now I'm just going to add some size tools. I'm going to add maybe this tool here. I'm going to add maybe, okay, I don't think a size tool is needed. I'm still going to add these 3 lugar chairs, or this longer chair. I'm going to add the longer one. Then I'm going to turn this and place this here. So this living room couch is in proximity with this stairway, so I'm just going to push all of them a bit forward, so it will not be obstructing movement. Going to be doing the same here. Then I'm going to be moving this forward, so to reduce conflict in movement. Then I'm still going to go to components, architecture components, and I'm going to see if I could add a bit more components. I'm going to add this armchair here. The reason I'm adding this armchair is for this foyer, so people can wait. So I'm going to be adding this armchair, and because of the fact that this door is conflicting with this armchair, I'm going to adjust this door. So I'm just going to move this door by, let's say, 450, and it has given us allowance. I'm also going to move this door here by 300, so there will be more allowance for these 2 chairs. And I'm also going to give this space its name, which is foyer. So as you can see, we have made very significant progress. So the reason why I didn't even work on this bedroom is because I just wanted to mirror this here. So I'm just going to, or just copy it. So I'm just going to click on this, and I'm just going to copy this to this other bedroom. And I'm just going to move this a bit towards this window. And I think we're good to go. So I'm just going to find a cabinet and just put for this laundry. I'm just going to go to components. I'm going to look for any plain cabinet here I could use, and I could just use this. And I'm just going to put this maybe to represent the worktop and the laundry or washing machine. Alright, so now we've done this. You've seen how we've added components to this floor plan. So now we're going to start editing the graphics setting. So now just going to click on these furnitures, override graphics in view by category, and once you override it, we're going to half tone them so they will not be too imposing. We're going to do the same for these plumbing fixtures. Override, click override graphics in view by category, then we're going to half tone it. So now we've done that, we are going to go to VV, that is visibility graphics. We are going to click VV on our keyboard. So we are going to give the wall the filled region, or the footprint we want the wall to have. So we are just going to go under walls. We are going to go here and look for this pattern, this under this cut. We are going to click on this pattern and override it. Then we are going to go to foreground, and we are going to change it to solid fill. So for this solid fill, we don't want it to be too black, so we're going to make it a bit very dark but gray, and we're going to click OK, and we're going to click apply, and we're going to click OK. So as you can see how the walls are looking. They have filled region and it's looking better. All right, so now we are going to add a color scheme. To do that, we are going to go under this properties panel here. Then under this properties panel, we are going to go to this color scheme, and currently it's showing none, meaning there is no color scheme. So we're just going to click on it. So now we've clicked on it, it's going to show options. You are going to select the category. Currently it's as spacing, so we're going to change it to rooms. So under rooms, we're now going to say by room name, and once you click on by room name, it automatically gives you color schemes for all the rooms. So our job now is to manually make all of them as light as possible, because Revit usually give us very strong colors. So all the thick colors, we are going to make them as light as possible, so it will not be too imposing. Before we do that, we are just going to make sure we select this by value, so it will select only existing room. Then we are going to click apply and we're going to click OK. So as you can see all the color schemes are coming out, giving the room a more distinctive color value, so you could tell which room is which room easily. Like, you don't need to, you see the separation of the spaces more clearly. So now we are just going to click, well, okay, I forgot to do some line works here, so I'm going to use line and just, it's telling me to save the project, cancel. I don't need to save now. So I'm just going to use thin lines and just make sure to indicate the parts that are meant to be void properly. I'm also going to do it here too. So now we're done with this color scheme. We're just going to go to graphics display options, that is GD, shortcut is GD. So once we have done that, we're going to change this style from normal to, we're going to change it to shaded. Not shaded, we're going to leave it at hidden line. So under hidden line, we're going to turn on these smooth lines with anti-aliasing. We're going to click on this shadow. We're going to toggle shadows. We're going to show ambient shadows. We don't need sketchy lines. We're going to click on lighting. Under this lighting, we're going to select in lighting settings. We're going to click sunlight from top right, and we're going to click OK. So under this artificial lighting settings, we're going to increase the sun intensity. We're going to increase the ambient light, and we're going to reduce the shadows to 5 as the value of the shadows. Then we're going to click apply and we're going to click OK. So as you can see, this presentation plan is looking very good. Now we are done with the presentation plan. We're just going to simply go to annotate and we're going to go to color field legend. So this is like a legend showing the room spaces and their color field, so someone can easily trace it and read it very well. Alright, so now we're done with this. We're now going to go and create and pick a 3D, a perspective view. Because this is a presentation, and let's just assume we have designed this project, we modeled this project this far, and we want to present it to someone. So we are just going to go to view, we are going to go to 3D view, and we are going to go to camera. So under this camera, you could set the height of this camera from the DPC, which I'll usually set at 600 because that's the way I like picking perspective. So I'm just going to pick a perspective from this point. I'm going to, the closer you draw it to the closer you place your camera, the more distorted your perspective is. So take note of that. So I'm just going to put it somewhere here, and I'm just going to pick the perspective view. So once you pick it, automatically it's going to show. So we're just going to adjust this perspective view. Okay, this is too far, I don't like it. I'm going to go back to DPC and I'm going to see if I can adjust this. Let me take it back by this point. So I'm just going to double click it to see what I've done. Or I could just go under 3D views and I could click on this 3D view 1 to see this perspective. So now I could just simply crop it. I could just simply crop this. And I could simply hide this scope box. At this point, honestly, I might delete this scope box because I'm not seeing the reason of it. So I'm going to hide in view by elements for now. So I'm just going to crop the perspective view crop region. So I'm going to click on this hide crop region. So now I'm now going to type GD to access the graphics display option. So under graphics display, I'm going to shade this from hidden line to shaded. Then I'm going to turn on these smooth lines with anti-aliasing. Then I'm going to turn on the shadows and the ambient shadows. I'm also going to turn on the lighting and increase the sun to about 90, increase the ambient light to about 20, and the shadows to about 10. Then I'm going to go to in light artificial settings. Then I'm just going to change it to still. This still is going to allow us to give it a time of the day. So if our internet was on, you could actually pick any location you're at or you set it at, but we are just going to work with this Boston. So I'm going to change the time to, let me change this to AM, and I'm going to change this to 10 AM and apply. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click background. So under this background, I'm going to change it and I'm going to select gradient. Under this gradient, I'm going to change the sky color and I'm going to make it towards more bluish and make it more sky blue. And I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click apply, and I'm going to click OK. So as you can see, this is a Revit perspective view. You can see how good this our model is looking. So now we are going to place both the presentation plan and this 3D presentation, 3D perspective view on sheets. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go under sheets here. Under this sheet, Revit has already given us some default sheets, as you can see, with the default template. But I don't like all these sheets here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to select all of them, Ctrl A, or I'm going to hold one and simply scroll down. I could hold Shift. I'm just going to hold Shift and delete all of them. So now we don't have any sheets now, and we'll now have start placing our own sheets. So I'm going to right click and click on new sheet. So under this new sheet, I'm going to click on load, and I'm going to load in from my Revit library a normal A3 sheet. That is A3 sized landscape sheet. Then I'm just going to look for an A3 metric blank sheet, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to load this. So now I've loaded this, I'm just going to rename this sheet, and I'm going to rename it as A001. A001. So now I've done that, I'm going to click on new sheet, and once I've named this one A001, the new sheet that is coming will now be A002. So I'll select this A001, and I'm going to go to this DPC. Now I'm just going to rename the DPC as ground floor plan. So now I've named it as ground floor plan. They'll ask me if I want to rename the corresponding levels and views. I'll click on no, because I don't want every level, all the instances of this level to change to ground floor by name. So I'm just going to place this, drag this and place this. So there's a reason why this scope box is too much. It's because something is hidden, or okay, I think there's really nothing hidden. So I'm just going to adjust this and just place this. So now I could just click on this title here, and I'm just going to drag this title in particular to this point, and I'm going to place this. All right. So now I'm going to go to this next sheet, and I'm going to bring in our 3D view 1. That is the perspective view we pick. So I'm just going to pick it and drag it. So in this sheet, this 3D view is looking too small. So what are we going to do? We're going to simply click on it. We're going to click on crop size. We're going to click on scale or bracket locked proportions. Then we're going to increase this width to about, let's use 350, and click apply. So I think 350 is appropriate. Now we're just going to place it inside the sheet well, and we're going to place this as 3D view 1. So now we've done this, we're about to complete a presentation. So we're just going to, now we've placed the both of them on sheets. Then we're going to say Ctrl P to print it. So now the printing interface have opened. The first thing we're going to do is to click on this select sheets, because we want to print some sheets. And we're also going to make sure this is set as combine multiple files, because we want to print more than one sheet. So we're going to click on select to select the sheet we want. We're going to click on under these display filters. We're going to click on, we're going to uncheck this 2D and 3Ds, and we're going to leave it on only sheets. So sheets will be available. So we're going to select this sheet A001 and sheet A002 and select it. And they'll ask us whether we want to save this setting. If you want to save it, fine, but me, I don't want to save it. I'll click no, it's not necessary. So I'm going to click on setup. So under this setup, I'm going to change the size of the sheet from letter to A3. Under this A3, I'm going to make sure I set at landscape. After I've made sure I set at landscape, I'm going to check this zoom at 100%. So I'm just going to click OK. So now I've done all those settings, I'm going to click OK, and we're going to locate it where we want to. We're going to find the file location where we want to save the printout. So I'm going to go to Documents, then I'm going to save it as Full Course Revit. So I'm just going to save this. So we're going to wait for it to print and see how it comes out. All right, so now the printing is complete. We're just going to open the file, and we're going to look at what we've done. So as you can see, we worked from scratch, from like totally nothing, and we're able to achieve this floor plan and this quality elevation, or this quality 3D perspective shot with this quality model. So this is the end of this video. If you have made it this far into this video, first of all, I want to congratulate you. It's not an easy feat, only few people can watch a tutorial video for like 4 hours or so and still watch it from beginning to end. It shows you are really determined to get what you want. So I also want to congratulate you for starting from a beginner's level to reaching, because for you to be able to, if you are able to follow me in this model and get it even close to like this, it means you have started from at least a beginner level to an intermediate level user in Revit. So I also want to congratulate you for that. As we have done this for you, you could also do us a favor back by hitting the subscribe button to this channel. Also hit the notification bell to get notified when we release new videos. Like our videos, is a way of just supporting us. It helps the algorithm. And also share with your friends too. There are friends that may need software tutorials or even D5, Revit, Lumion, or all those kind of tutorials. We do it on this channel, even Photoshop and presentations, and even other architectural topics. With that said and done, I want to congratulate you one final time, and we are going to meet in the next video. Thank you once again. And also if you want me to drop a video, a full rendering course on this same model, say it in the comment section below. If the comment reaches a certain number, you are going to see the video. We are going to see in the next video. Thank you.